Good morning. Hey there, how's it going?
Good morning.
Good morning, good morning. Let's let everyone in. Hello. What's up with my keyboard? All right, so let's see. Hi, Carol. Hi, Rod. Was
Morning.
there Tanya and Doran? Hi, guys. Everyone's making their way into class. And I'm making my in with my other computer. Oh, that's why my other computer is in my wrong account. Give me a second here. Okay. All right. Where's everyone? Everyone else. Ah, there they come. Here comes more people. All right. One process that I can't take you guys through is the different user setup, because each time you do that, you actually lose connection. And anyway, it's a really useful session, but I can't explain it to you right now. Okay, there we go. Good morning. Good morning. Can you go everyone to the chat and give us a little good morning there? Hi, Mimi. All right. Well, I'm not going to wait too much longer for people to show up, because looks like I have a okay, this is weird. My teaching computer crashed yesterday, and I thought I had reset it, but it still seems to be having some issues. Anyway, all right. So great. I think I'm finally there. Mac level 1. I was starting Mac level 2 with the other computer, which wasn't very helpful. All right. So now that I've got both set up, I'm going to share my screen with this one. Here we go. So you guys had a job. You had a job. You had to empty out your stuff from your different folders. And here we go. Again, I wish this computer was up higher, because now that I'm pointing it this way instead of to the other thing that I was using before, I was using the camera straight at me, this one, but it was always making me dark because of my light background. So now I'm using this one, but then I have to look up anyway, because that's my working computer. So I don't like that you're always having to look at my chin instead of my face, but that's just how it is. So the job that you guys had was to open your Finder window and to head over to your different documents and desktop and downloads, and to clean stuff up. Okay. Actually, I am going to share that from this one. That way, for a little bit, I can be looking at you a bit better. For this part, I'm going to do it from here. All right. And so I want to know, who got a chance to do it. If you didn't do it, you just didn't do it. You won't have questions. But if you did it, what I want to know is who has any questions. Remember that the main question was do as much as you can, and then just here we go. I'm opening up the group here, and then just, hi, Julie.
Good morning.
Let me know if you have any questions about it, right? So in this case, I told you to head over to the downloads and get rid of as much as you could. And when you had something you didn't understand what it was, just stop right there. I also asked you to do that from the desktop and to transfer most of what's in your desktop to your documents folder. And then in your documents folder, you're going to have a bunch of stuff that you need to then organize. And this is where we're going to work on today, to start organizing that bunch of stuff that ends up in your documents. But we can't do that until we're sure that we have a pretty clean downloads and documents folder. So the other day I did some demoing and stuff like that. But now I want questions for those of you who tried to do it and either couldn't or found files that didn't make sense to you, that kind of thing. First of all, if you managed to clear out your screen, not your screen, your computers, if you managed to clear it out in any which way and get rid of stuff, go ahead and give me a yes, like you tried. And then if you have any questions, raise your hands. At the end of the day, someone asked me about a PKG file or something like that. And I said, I'm going to explain that next week. So I don't know if that person, whoever it was, I cannot remember who asked me, is still here. But yeah, that's the kind of questions I want. Okay. So, right. Looks like some of you guys have been cleaning it out. Okay, cool. Letting you in, Mimi, with your other computer. All right. No questions, no files, no surprises, nothing. All right. Well, okay. If there's no questions, let's continue. I always think that if there's no questions, either I did my job so well that I explained everything, or you guys are absolutely geniuses and do everything really well. Because, you know, there's always something. All right, here's a raised hand. I get to be a teacher. Yes, Julie.
Hi, on the downloads, I forget what you had told us before, the Zoom package PKG installer. Can I go
Okay.
ahead and delete those? I have two of them. One says Zoom-2 package
Mhm.
and the other one says Zoom.package. One was March 14th and one was May 25th.
Yeah. So here's an example of what she's talking about right there. And here I have it in my own. And what's up with Zoom is that whenever you install an application, I think I gave this example a little bit last week in answer to something like, or yeah, it is last week at this point. Today is Tuesday. Was that when you have to install an application, what downloads into your computer is kind of like a banana. It's got this skin that you have to open up. What's inside is the software that gets installed, and then you're left with that holder, the skin, right? That needs to be thrown away. And so
Okay.
there's a couple more things I want to say about this, though. For the most part, the answer is yes, you get rid of it. First, you have to confirm whether you installed it or not. And my concern is that for the rest of these guys, I'm telling you to open them sometimes if you don't know what they are. But you shouldn't necessarily open anything from the downloads that might have come from the internet that you don't know if it's carrying viruses or stuff, because it's these things that we download from the internet are the ones that cause bring viruses into your computer. So in this case, especially when you download something that's a PKG package or a DMG. And here I have a DMG example right there. DMG. Those two are
Oh, nice.
applications that are, this one is disk image, I believe, or something like that is what this one is. The DMG. And what happens is that now with newer apps, with newer operating systems, every time you install something, it asks you, should I get rid of the installer? Like after the whole installation process, has anyone seen that yet? Have you, anyone installed something recently enough? So I'm going to say recently enough for the last couple of years, because even my Monterey was doing it for me. So I don't know of anything older than Monterey, but my Monterey was doing it. And so is Ventura, that when you install something from an installer, it then says, should I basically send myself to the trash? It's like a self-clean, like an automatic cleaning. And you should always say yes to that. But if you don't, if you say no, because you're not sure what it's asking, you're like, why would I send the application to the trash? A lot of people don't really know what the question is. And they go, no, I just installed it. Why would I send it to trash? So you say no. So then it stays, the installer stays in your trash. And the other day I did some screenshots of that process so I could show it to you, because yes, and I don't know where the screenshots went right now. Because yeah, that's a thing that happens now. You rarely get to just keep it in the trash anymore, as long as you say yes. But when you do keep it in the trash, what might happen is that you have many at a time. So in my case, I only have one Zoom installer package. Now, the first question I need to ask, how old is this document? You don't care so much about the age of documents when they are, you don't care so much about, because you might have, you made a cookie recipe that's still really good, even though you made it, 10 years ago, it's still the cookie recipe you use. But with an application, the date is extremely important. So now we're in July, and this is from February. I can assure you that there's a new Zoom version at this point since February, right? So
Yeah.
even if I were to try to install this one, it's still an old application. So you don't want to be just saying, oh, Zoom, I guess I downloaded it, I should install it. A, because it might be the installer that you've already, it might be what you already installed, but B, it's probably old. So if you see installers of something you're using, like Zoom, then just go to the website Zoom and download the latest app, or go to the App Store and download, the latest update, or to the App Store. Rarely would you actually install something that's this old. So from February to July in the world of computers, that's a ton. And if it's any older than this, even so. Most of the times you'll have, you'll be given here, you'll install something. So I have this example here. I download something, and then a lot of people don't know where downloads go, so they might not go and find it in their downloads folders. So then, or the next time they go again, they install it again and again, they download it again and again. So when you keep downloading the same thing, it keeps downloading, but it downloads, and it's called, the first one doesn't have a -1. It just says the name. The next time you download it, it'll say -2. The next time it'll say -3. So what Julie is saying, she has 2 Zoom installers, and one probably says -2, right? Or -3 or
Yes.
something like that,
Yeah.
because those are duplicates. Now it could be duplicates because it's the same name, but it could be different dates. It's just that I downloaded this one in February. I never threw away the, the peel. And then I downloaded another one in March, and then I downloaded another one in June, and suddenly I have 3 of them because I keep not getting rid of the installers. So then they are all called Zoom installer -1, -2, no, not -1. The first one doesn't have a -1, then I'll say -2, -3. So as long as it's a package, PKG,
Yeah.
or DMG, disk image, those are all installers. I highly recommend to get rid of them always. And if you do wonder whether you should install it, then go and find out. And so let's go to the website and see if there's been an update and download the latest one. So yeah, that is one of those things that those things take up a lot of space in comparison to other files. I hadn't shown you the other one was actually bigger, but this is 7 megabytes. And most of the rest are either 1 megabyte or less. Anything that's KB is much less than a megabyte, right? So this one is, 322 bytes. This is 7,000 megabytes. So installers are usually huge. So if you have any installer of any kind, and they don't have to have the word installer. Sometimes they are called something fancy, but sometimes they say the word installer. And again, if it's the extensions PKG or DMGs, and I'm going to write it here if it's .pkg and .dmg are app installers, get rid of them. Okay, so there's that in the chat. I'm going to move that one to the trash as well. Okay, you don't want that kind of stuff. So all right, so that was the longer explanation that the other said, yeah, get rid of them, but wait and ask me again. So there you go.
So I should just drag it to my trash then, highlight them?
Yeah, if you like to
Right
drag,
click.
that's drag. You can also just right click and move to trash that way. And just, yeah, leave it in the trash. Sometimes people have an application. Mine, by the way, over here, you see that mine say February 1st, all of them. And it's not that I downloaded them all on February 1st. It's just that since this is a fake folder of files to just throw things away, they've all were copied into this computer on this date. So it's a bit confusing because why do I have the same date on everything? In the real downloads folder, you shouldn't have the same date on everything. You would have the date of when things got downloaded. Got it? So this is a little bit fake. So I'm just saying so that you're aware of that. Now, if you haven't gotten rid of it, if you haven't installed it, if you're not sure it's been installed, then try to figure out what it is. But you'll never figure out by the name only because for the most part, the names of these things are pretty cryptic, right? And so you have to remember, what could I have been doing at whatever the date was that you installed it, and then go, oh, that was when I was trying to fix my printer, for example, which is what this was. Yeah, no, that happened. I'm done with it. Right click, move to trash. Okay, so if it's a package if it's not DMG, it's, yeah, disk image. There we go. I thought I had a typo in my chat. Then you want to always get rid of them. Also, if you have any numbers 2s or 3s of something, right? If they are updates of the same thing, sometimes it's the same thing identical that you just downloaded 3 times because you didn't know where to find it, or you liked it so much the next thing you know, you kept downloading it. But if it's an application, then the first 2 will be older, right? So for sure, you're going to get rid of the one that has no number and the number 2, because if at all you need one, the 3rd is the newest one, which in a case of an application that matters because the date matters. You want the newest app. But when it's just a file that has its 3 names, which in this case I downloaded 3 times, you can, get rid of all the duplicates and just keep the one if it's something you still want. But remember, how do I know what this is? You have to hit the space bar and you get a little preview of what it is. In the case, it's a PDF, and I keep having it here of when we were making our own masks, COVID masks some years ago. And this is a pattern that I had found that I had liked, and I downloaded it, and I have it 3 times. So I don't need that anymore. But just, that's something that I could say, well, in case it happens again, will I need to make one? And we've all discovered that those masks really weren't that useful anyway. So maybe not, right? Unless we're again in a situation where we need them and there's a huge desperation for them, I probably won't need them. So that's the explanation for that. Yes, Mimi? Your sound is off.
Question is 2 questions.
Oh,
If you have a photo that is a JPEG on your desktop, and you want to get it moved to your photos, and then put in an album, can you do that in a one-stop? Or do you just have to go to shove it in photos and then put it in an album later? And to move it into photos, the only way I see to do it is you actually have to open the photo, like make it big. And then there's a, and then at the top, there's this little, that little box with the arrow and to share.
Yeah,
document,
no,
and
that is that part, what you said before, yes, to what you're saying right now, no. So here's the thing. I have a photograph here and it's a JPEG and it's a kitten.
okay,
And and in my case, it happens to be in the downloads versus the desktop, but it doesn't matter. I also have photos on my desktop. So if I go to my desktop, which is your specific question here, I also have a photo, right? And this is a photo.
Yeah.
So what I suggested to start with is to collect all your photos in one folder, just to make it easier to not have to be uploading one by one. In particular, people who have, more than 10, you might have 100 or 200, and to each time you find one to upload it into photos, it takes much longer than to just pile them onto one folder called photos, or not, don't call it photos, call it like send it to photos or something like that, to make sure that you know that this is supposed to go to the app. And then you can do it all at once, like you said, and then you can upload the actual folder and turn that into an album. So you can do that. Okay, that's
How do
one
you
thing
do
you can
that?
do. Well, I first need to explain a few more basic things, how to make folders and all that. But yeah, but if you just want to send one photo,
Mhm.
right, at a time. So I just am resharing my entire screen. You guys see here, this is my Photos app. Okay, and I'm not going to in this class, I'm not going to start teaching how to use the Photos app, you guys. Okay, all I'm going to do is teach you how to put photos that are loose in your computer into your Photos app. So first of all, you need to be clear which photo it is. So I'm going to look at this one and I'm going to hit the space bar and I'm going to say, okay, this is, whatever it is. I'll know what it is. And I say, okay, I want to save it. So then I'll go to that picture. And you can drag it down. Oh, I'm on the computer. Hold on. I've got a bunch of stuff here next to the mouse because I had to move my computer yesterday. So you can either grab it and drag it down. Wow. Hello. I'm having the trouble that you guys were having the other day. What is happening? I changed my settings because I went to. Okay, so I'm going to grab it and drop it literally like that into my Photos app. I have to make sure that this, lights up and I let go. And then my Photos app will open and it'll ask me, in this case, it's a duplicate because I've done this so many times. So I'm going to say, no, don't import, right? But if it isn't a duplicate, it will import it. Okay. So now I have my Photos app open. I'm going to hide it because I don't want it open anymore. But you can do that. If you have one or another photo in there that, that is just hanging out, you can do that. If on the other hand, you look at it and you go, oh yeah, no, this is not a photo I want, you can directly trash it. But here's the thing. You see how this is still here? And this is the key. This is the most important thing that from file management point of view, I have just put it in there, right? It's already in there. So if I just do this, at this moment, I have duplicates. I have one in there and one here. See how this one didn't disappear? It's not like putting it in a folder. Like had I put this in from desktop documents, it would have been one that went to the documents. But by putting it in the Photos app, I still have it here. So the next thing I need to do immediately is right click and now move that one to the trash. Otherwise, I leave it there. And then over time I go, oh, did I put this one up there again? I don't know. So then you try it again. And this whole time you would have two. So the moment you upload them, you confirm that they've uploaded, and then you move the original one, that one that's a desktop, to the trash. Does that make sense, you guys? You don't leave it there. So say that I have this file here, and I'm looking at them and trying to decide if I need them or want them. Say that I decide I do want to keep it. When I move it to the trash, then I need to, when I move it to Photos, and it's image 1555, it's right there sitting here. You see it right there. Okay. So if I move it to the Photos, it goes into the Photos app. Something weird is happening to my computer right now. I move it to the photos and let it go. Oh, that's interesting. This one was on my computer. And this is the one that I had moved over earlier. But notice this one, I got twice the message, the file can't be found. I guess I haven't done this with, I happen to have always chosen, see how it has a little cloud here? It's telling me that the photo is up on the cloud. That little file is up on the cloud. So that's why it's saying, nope, you can't put it in the photos because it can't be found. So I would first have to download it. So I had to click right there. Once it's here, see how the cloud is gone. Now I can grab it and put it in the Photos app. So once I do that, again, I have done it with these photos already. I don't have new photos in this computer. So it keeps telling me, would you like to import the following duplicate item? And I want to say, no, don't, but if not, it would be importing. Okay. But then I need to go back and delete it, remove it. And that's the key part that some people forget to do. You need to remove. Now, in this case, I need to actually move. I still have stuff in my desktop, right? So for those of you who showed up a little bit later, we were talking about completing all the moving of things over and what to do with things. So when you have a lot of photos, which I know in your case you do, Mimi, what I recommend is that we're going to make a folder and put any photos that you have in that folder, call them, to be put in the Photos app, call that folder, something like that. And then you can upload all those photos at the same time. Once you check that they've been uploaded, then you go back and you delete that entire folder and you're done. The photos are in your computer in the Photos app, ready to be organized. And the way that those of you who are in my iLife class, we're beginning to learn how to organize stuff. But if you upload the entire folder, that folder can be saved as an album. But that I will teach you, ask me in the Photos app, okay? In the Photos class. But right now, the important thing is to get them into a folder called Photos. So in this case, if I'm on my desktop and I have many photos, I could just, I only have 3. So since I only have 3, I could just drag them into my documents right now. But if I had many more, I could just make a folder because I don't want to be dragging them all over the place. But right now it's easier to just take that one to the documents and then these 2 by selecting 2 in a row and taking it to documents, because I have first checked and decided I want them, right? If not, you have to check and say that you don't want them. But then here I have a ton of screenshots. See that? Screenshot. So I can look at them holding the space bar and, oh, that's what this is. Oh, that's what this is. Do I want them or do I not want them? And if I do decide that I want them, then I need to make a folder for all of these at once. I don't want to drag them one by one into documents. Also, I could grab them all at once and then take them like that into documents. But then I'd have to I'd have a lot of loose screenshots in my documents folder. So since I already have a lot of them here, one thing I can do is create a folder right here with the selection and then move that folder into documents. So for anyone who has a lot of something, in this case, that's of the same thing, like in screenshots, I'm going to show you how to make a folder. Now, today we're going to be making folders and organizing stuff. But one way I'm going to show you is to take all of these, first book them in a folder and then drag them over. So before I show you that, I want to keep answering questions. And really what I'm asking right now for anyone who showed up a little bit later, and I'm looking up and I'm seeing a couple of people who showed up when I was talking. So hi, Lizette. Hi, Yolanda. Hi, Sarah. Hi, Deborah. Hi, Barbara. I think the rest of you are already here when I started explaining. So good morning, everyone. My question was, first I had asked who did the cleanup, right? Who worked on their files? You're supposed to take everything from your documents folder that you didn't want to the trash and what you did want to your documents folder. You were supposed to do that also with your desktop. Everything in your computer should be either in your trash or in your documents folder. Ideally, there's nothing left on your desktop or on your downloads. I know that that's not probably what everyone did, but if you did perchance accomplish that, now I'm being really specific, empty desktop and empty downloads. Everything that you want is in your documents or in your trash, which is like the absolute, like, you did every single thing I asked. If that's you, then give me a yes. And by the way, well, hold on, I'm going to clear your feedback. It's okay not to give me a yes. I'm not going to make you wrong for not, it's not like they get an A and you guys get a C or anything like that. It's just, I want to know if there's, you know, we're going to kind of start, you know, how when they say, how many of you have been here for 10 years? Raise your hands. How many? 20? Raise your hands, and people progressively, right? So right now, only yes if you cleared everything. All right. Now, so that's most of you guys. Like nothing on your desktop, nothing on your downloads. All right. If that's so, that's a yes. Now, I see you, Doran. Some people had very little. It's a new computer. It's easier to do. Now, how many of you left less than 5 things on your desktop and less than 5 things on your download? So like if you went almost all the way, but you still have some that you have questions. If you did that, then give me a yes. Don't answer no's yet. I just want to get progressive yeses. All right, so either you cleared it all or you didn't leave only 5. Okay, how many of you feel left maybe 20 things in your downloads and 5 in your desktop? Like not too many in your desktop. I don't see any new hands heading up. I'm getting big numbers now. How many of you still have more than 50 documents in either desktop or downloads? Okay, now it's the other kind of answer. Now it's yes if you still have stuff. And some of you aren't answering either way. Okay, so if you're not answering either way, it doesn't help. Okay, Lizette still has things in downloads. You can also put it in the chat. Okay. While you guys still give me answers, and who, yeah, I see a hand from Julie. Okay, so Julie.
Sorry, we've been having plumbing issues, so I did clear everything off my desktop, but just now when I deleted or moved to trash my DMG, which said Messenger, now on my desktop, all of a sudden I have this big icon saying Messenger. I didn't put it there. So I did clear my desktop off. Why did this pop up now when I moved it to trash?
That's interesting. If it's in the trash, it shouldn't be unless you installed it before moving it. Why don't you share your screen? Messenger is an app it should be, if it's the Apple app, it's your text messaging. And that is, oh no, that is the Facebook Messenger.
I don't,
Okay.
oh Lord.
That's a Facebook Messenger. So go ahead and open your trash. Go down into the trash. Yeah. And let's see if you see the word Messenger, because you might have dragged it and didn't make it all the way into the trash. And
Well,
when
you know what I did? I
write it
highlighted
down.
all 3, the to Zoom.
Okay,
And then the Messenger, I highlighted those and then said.
let's go see if
move to
the Zoom
trash.
went in. Go down to see the Z's. Go put all this by alphabetical order. Go ahead and click on the word name. Oh, there it is. The 2 Zoom packages made it in. I see them there.
Yeah,
And so this is how I'm checking, but the Messenger seems to have been dropped on the desktop somehow. So because I don't see the Messenger here. Oh, there it is. Messenger. Set 1C17 under the M.
yeah.
March 11th, 2023. Disk image. So go ahead and try to drag it in again into the trash. So grab it from the desktop just to make sure. Go to that little icon and then just put it here in this window, which is your trash, which is like putting it in the trash. So drag it into this window and let's see if it's considered a bit lower. Drop it a little bit lower.
All the way down.
No, there's a lot, you had to be into it. Okay, and let go. No, but it's saying no, so it can't do that. So go ahead then and empty. Are you ready to empty your trash?
Yeah. I
then
think so.
let's go ahead and empty your trash, and see when your window is open like that, you can go all the way up to the right, top right, and see the word empty. You can do that. And let's see if that disappears it. Are you sure? Stop, don't do it quickly. Guys, when you put a lot of stuff in the trash and you're ready to go, this is the message that you're going to get. Are you sure you want to permanently erase? So this is completely permanent. All right. You can't undo it. We had a time, people in the past, we had a time where you could do a temporary get rid of and a permanent one. And that's it. That's been years ago. Now, all computers and for many operating systems, when you empty it, you're done. Okay. Now, it's like the dump truck came by and took the stuff away. It's completely gone. So go ahead, be careful and make sure. And then, yeah, go ahead and empty your trash.
It's still
All right.
up. there.
So, okay. So then this could be an app. Let's go into your apps, go into your applications there on the Finder. Click on your applications and let's see if it's installed. Let's go down to M, messages. And no, it's not Messenger. Messages is your text. Messenger is the Facebook app for kind of
Ah,
texting and messaging inside of Facebook.
So
Right,
how do
so
I get
it's-
rid of
it's
it on my
not
desktop?
installed. Okay, so now one last thing. Can you click on that Messenger app and then hold the space bar? I want to see if it says it's a file or just on the one that the one up there. Yeah, just hold your space bar to see a quick preview of it. See if it explains anything.
Is that what you're asking me to
No.
do?
Yeah, that's what I was asking, to see if it would tell us something about the file itself. And it's not. Okay, head over to the desktop on your Finder. Click on the Finder now, on the Finder window. Right, so go to the Finder window. Yeah, this one we don't need anymore. You can close this one. Yeah, and then on the Finder window, choose your applications on the left. Sorry, your desktop. I'm sorry, your desktop. And it doesn't look like there's anything left here. Okay, so go ahead and right click on it because it's been installed as a disk image. Right click
On the icon?
on the icon, right click
Whoops.
and eject. So stop for a minute. When something gets installed as a disk image, which is what happened to this one, it goes like that as an icon, and it's then not trashable because it's considered almost like another hard drive. It's an interesting situation. So when you right click on this, it doesn't say trash anywhere. All it says is eject, and eject is what you get when it's a hard drive. So once you say eject, it'll leave your desktop and then you're done. So go down to eject. And it's gone. I just
Good.
needed to first confirm that it wasn't a file, that you didn't have it. You know, that's why I had you check. I don't like to get rid of stuff until I know for sure what they are. When it was not showing up there, when it was not in her applications, I was comfortable with understanding that that was a disk image. And so, yeah, you had to eject it as a hard drive. And there you go. Now it's gone. So
Thank you
yeah, these
very
are the
much.
kind of things that I needed you guys to ask, things that were different or weird or, hey, what's happening, right? So perfect.
Right. Thank
All
you.
right, because sometimes things aren't as, logical as they might seem. All right, Sarah. Meanwhile, by the way, you all who didn't do this, keep working on it, okay? Because this is the time to get your help. So as I keep answering questions, your job is the big surprise. Usually everyone knows if they have things on their desktop because you see them. But the big surprise is usually downloads, and you might have years of stuff or thousands of, megabytes or kilobytes or gigabytes even of stuff. So please head over there in the downloads. And if you want it, put it in the documents. If you don't want it, put it in the trash. Just keep doing that if you haven't done it, if you have anything left to do. All right. So Sarah, you need to mute yourself, unmute yourself. You're muted.
Yes, thanks.
There
Sorry.
you go.
One of these days I'll get it. I have, I did buy that external hard drive,
Mhm.
and then I get a thing that says, because I haven't set it up so that the drive is showing up on my desktop. It's not on there. I didn't, and I then said disk not ejected properly, eject TM 5 2, 3. So I want to just get,
Yeah,
time
so
machine
if you bought that hard drive, I
yeah,
haven't yet taught people how to use it.
no,
So ideally, you wouldn't have done that, but if you did do that and you did plug, you know, plug it in, then the problem is that you unplugged it. And
Yes,
that's
I
why it
know.
says disk not ejected properly. So what you need to do when you want to get rid of it is exactly what Julie just did. You need to right click on the name of that disk and say eject disk. Then you can unplug it. Okay, so that's the message of disk
Yeah,
not
it just,
ejected
it just
properly.
doesn't show it. I have a Monterey, I mean, the older.
Here I
version.
have a screenshot of it, okay? So
Okay.
this is an example. And I called it disk not ejecting properly, right? And I took a screenshot of it and it basically something like this happens, right? So it's telling you that eject this one before disconnecting it or turning it off. So that could happen if you just unplug your hard drives. And instead, if this say that this was my hard drive, you would have to eject it. Now I can't because it's not a disk. So it's just telling me remove or trash. But let me show you. I'm going to share my entire desktop. And here I have a disk. Here's my time machine, right?
Hold on,
This is a machine, this is a hard drive, right? It's an external hard drive. It's a connected with a cable hard drive. So if I want to get rid of it and I right click, it'll say eject because it's a hard drive, right? So that's what I need to do. I need to first eject it. Then after I've ejected it, I can unplug it. If I just unplug this physically, I'm going to get the little whoops, disk not ejected properly. And what's happening is that you could lose some of the data that's in there. Not always. And so people get comfortable and complacent, you know, like, yeah, we always think that, you know, nothing's going to happen to me. I don't need to put on my helmet on my bike. And then one time I fall, I hurt my head. So yes, most of the times if you unplug, nothing horrible happens. And then if the file was in the middle of being transferred when you unplugged or something like that, and you have no control over that, and you unplug it, that's when you get a corrupted file. So just don't do that. Do the eject. And if you do eject, it stops the process and it gets rid of it from the desktop first, and then you physically unplug it. Okay. So that's the way to get rid of a hard drive, of a connected hard drive.
Okay,
Okay.
I'll try that right now.
Okay.
Thank
Cool.
you.
You're welcome. All right. Yes, Deborah.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
I have a lot to do in terms of cleaning things up. So I'm in my downloads folder or whatever. It's not a folder, right?
Yeah, it is a folder.
It is a folder.
Your
Okay.
downloads folder. Mhm.
Okay. And I'm on the list, the same format that you've been demonstrating. Is there any way to sort those things
Yeah,
so that
go
I
ahead.
can look at
Yeah.
all the whatever?
Yeah,
you know,
go
at
ahead. And do you
once?
want to share your screen or do you want me to demo it?
Please demo it.
Okay. So I'm going to, and I believe I had shared this before. I'm not sure.
You
Maybe
may
you weren't
have,
here.
I've had some
Yeah, no, that's fine.
absences.
But remember that we're looking at it from list view, okay?
Yes.
So there's so many different ways to look at this, and I'm looking at it in list view, right? And
Yes.
so let me head over to documents where I have much more stuff. I myself still have a bunch of unorganized stuff because I'm trying to demo this work for you. I knew that not everyone would have organized it well, right? Yeah. By the way, let me go ahead and select all these screenshots and move them over to documents, because that's the whole point of beginning my cleanup. So see how my desktop is already much cleaner, but that's a bit fake because those were all individual little files. But in here, if I open it up, I still might have a lot of different things. And so I might have a lot of things in there. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and move everything. So I'm going to accomplish for myself that which I told you to do, which is to empty your desktop, right? And now my desktop is empty. And for some people, that's like, oh my God, how do I find my things now, right? So now that's what we're gonna be showing you. But if you could see my entire desktop, now if you look at this, I'm saying that my entire desktop is empty. Now, is that true? I'm gonna close my window. Does it look like my entire desktop is empty?
Yes,
Well,
except for the hard drive and the,
yeah, that's what I wanted to say. You will always have the hard drives. Now, when I say always, for 99% of you will have this hard drive, but for a while there, for some operating systems, and I'm trying to remember which ones they were, somewhere in between, like Yosemite or whatever, maybe Catalina, this one stopped appearing here. And people truly had nothing on their desktop. Now it's appearing again. So I guess people missed it or something. They complained, Apple put it up there again. But if you don't have a Macintosh hard drive there and you have nothing, it's not horrible. It just means you need to open your Finder to see your stuff. I think that what happened is that a lot of people messed these up. And so for a while, Apple tried to get rid of things for people not to mess up stuff. And then people were like, where's my icon, of my hard drive? Because this Macintosh hard drive, if you double click an icon like this, it gives you a Finder window of your Macintosh hard drive, right? That's what it is, as opposed to going down here in the Finder window and opening one. And some people might have not known that. So you don't need it here. So if you don't have it, don't despair. I'm just saying that most people probably will have it. Some people won't. And then this one is the icon of my Time Machine, which is a plugged in hard drive. So hard drives still show up. I just wanted to clarify that. That's why Julie's Messenger was still showing up, because in the process of installation, a DMG creates a little disk image of itself, and that shows up as a hard drive, and that's why we had to eject it. Anyway, so now that I just wanted to explain before I kept going. Now, for the demo that you were asking, let me share only this screen. And yes, so now there it is. My desktop is empty. Here it shows nothing, but you already saw in the real life, I do have my two hard drives. Okay, but over here it doesn't. Now, one more thing. I do see here my Time Machine right there. Okay, so I see it on the sidebar under locations. I see the hard drive Time Machine Wake 3. Wake 3 is, room 3 at the Wake Center, and that's the name we gave it because that's what it used to save. Now I brought it to my house because I demo it from here, but it used to be the Time Machine for the one that's in Wake 3 is the Wake Center room 3 is where I teach my classes when I'm in person. All right. So that's my Time Machine in my Finder window. All right. Now, in Documents, now I have a bunch of stuff. I'm gonna click on this I'm gonna get this. It keeps warning me. I'm gonna have to either ask the school to buy me a bit more storage, 99 cents a month, or I have to empty it out. But I can't empty it out too much because I need to have some files in there to demonstrate stuff. And it's my photos and videos that are taking up space. Anyway, so ignore that because you probably won't get that. That's just warning me. So here in the list view mode, it's just that being there, since I want to show you these, this is actually in a bad spot because I'm going to show you this. So guys, imagine this isn't here. You know what if I say get more storage and then ignore it? I think last time I did that, it then disappeared. No, I think it just wanted, when I looked at it, no, it's not disappearing. It really is not going to disappear until I add more storage. All right, so ignore this. You would have that straight to here. All right, so I have the word name, date modified, size, and kind. Do you see all those above on top of yours?
yes.
Now, when I click on the word name, it zooms it up. It scrolls, it organizes by alphabetical order from A to Z. So when I click it on in this way, I see the F and the 2, and it doesn't seem to be alphabetical order, but it's alphanumerical. So A is over here, but anything that has a number will be above an A. So these numbers are above an A. And then what's this weird thing doing here? Well, this one, if you notice, is a little bit moved in the name, it has a little space in
Mm.
front of it. So that space is even ahead of the numbers. So this is actually correctly alphanumerically stored, because that space, those are numbers, and then we start with A. So this is useful if you know the name of the file, but other than that, it's kind of the least useful thing when you're trying to decide how useful files are or not. Because you might want to instead say save them from the point of view of what kind of files they are. I find that a little bit more useful. So I'm going to head over to the kind, which is jumping up and forth, telling me this is that by alphabetical order. I have a bit of everything. If I click on kind, now everything sorts by kind. So now I see the folders on top, Photoshop. Let me make this a little bit bigger so you can see what it says here. Making this a little bit better. So here it says an Adobe Photoshop PSD, an MPEG 2 videos, an audio and a video, 2 GIFs, 1 HTML. Oh, I shouldn't have. I clicked on that one, and then a ton of JPEGs, which is yay, a great way to find all my photos. Remember that we were saying I've already put all my photos all together by doing this, and then here I have Excel, and Word, anyways, I'm expanding this a little bit so that we can see what I mean. 3 Excel sheets, 4 Word documents, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So this kind of helps when you're trying to find things by type of file. And for some of you guys, type of file means nothing. And instead you want to figure it out. Well, date modified. This one's a little bit tricky. Because it might have been modified just because you downloaded it or something like that, or changed it. But if I go to date modified, then it's going by, since when has this file been in my computer? So from 2020 to 2021 to 2022, right? So these are my files. And then as I keep going down, it'll say 2023 all the way up to today. So that's another way where if you know that you are looking for a file that you were writing on last year, you might want to do that kind of thing. Now, one of the most useful ones, though, is to go to size, because then by size, you'll like, okay, I can spend all this time getting rid of these tiny ones, or I can head over to the really big ones and go, what's this one? 27 megabytes. All right, this is definitely the ones that I should begin to delete if what you're trying to do is get more space in your computer. If space is not the issue, then to find them, that's the best way you can sort them. There's one more thing I'm going to teach you all, but first I want to make sure everyone is really comfy with this concept before I show you groups. And I don't want to show you groups because many times that kind of messes things up. So for now, do that. All right, so did that help?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. So those are the kind that, here's one more thing. Let me just say one last thing. You can actually find other ways to qualify your files. So as much as I have name, date modified, size, and kind, I can put my mouse in here, right click, and choose others. Like I might want to say date last opened. And that might kind of help me see which files are something that I really, really have barely used. So if I click date last opened, then I'll see that this one was used in June 2023, this one in Jan 20. So as by sorting them by date last open, I'll discover that, so from newest to oldest, I'll discover which ones are still useful. So this one here, I just used, this one I didn't, but be careful because just used just means that I looked at it, because see, remember that I opened this one? I didn't really use it. So that's why this is a little bit weird in that as long as I did something to it, it's considered just like open, but all I did was trash it, put it in the Photos app. But anyway, that'll show me that, okay, these are pretty relevant. It looks like I've been using them. But if I go all the way down to here, if I haven't opened this one since June 20, oh, look at that. That's that mask that I was telling, another one of those mask patterns. I haven't used it since June 2020. Do I need it anymore? No, yay, get rid of it. So, you can add stuff. Now, since this isn't normally there, I'm going to right click and turn it off, because I'm going to just not want to see that, because I'm trying to usually teach with the basics. But you guys see that? You can put any place where you have name, date, modified, size, and kind, just click in there and choose some other, like maybe you want to see the iCloud status, I don't know. And then it makes you a little choice where you can like click on that, and then it puts everything that's up there or not up there and that kind of thing. So now I'm gonna turn that off, right? Last modified by shared by, but these are
Did
usually the
you
most
right click?
simple ones. Yeah, you put your in any of the place where the titles of the columns are there, just put a little right click. And that's when you can choose these things.
Thank you.
Okay. Last modified by a certain person. If you do qualify by that tags version, mainly date added or date created. Date created doesn't help as much. Date modified helps more, because you might have created a file 3 years ago, but you're still writing your novel. And who cares that you created it 3 years ago? As long as you're still writing it, then the date modified matters more, right? Because if you're still writing it, it would appear as newer. So anyway, so there you go. Those are just choices that you have of different things to organize your files.
Okay.
So hopefully, by the way, at this point, I'm assuming everyone's emptied out their desktop, because if not, you would have asked me stuff. And if you didn't yet, I want you to ask me. This is the key. This is the next question. I know you have your hand up, Sarah. I can see it. Give me a sec. I just emptied out my desktop, and I know that that gives some people the shivers, and you can't do that. So if you are one of those that it gives the shivers, I'm not going to convince you to do it. I'm not going to force you to do it. I want you to raise your hands and let's talk and show me your screen. And I might be able to explain what of that truly you might want to keep or not, and explain what else I'm going to do to help you do that. But if you have a ton of stuff in here, and especially if your computer is running slow or low, that's a complication for your computer. And so you need to do something differently, but maybe not with all those files. Maybe there's some that you truly need there every single day. You open this, you need it, or whatever reason, especially if what you're keeping on your documents and your desktop are photos or videos. Those would be the worst case scenario to have on your desktop. Okay. So if that's you, I beg you to, after this conversation, if you have 50 things, you might still end up with 50 things. I'm never going to say you have to do this, but I might help you figure out why certain things should or not be in there. And then you can just do whatever you want. But I do want you to ask me, because a lot of people don't dare do something. And then when the class is over, it's too late. Then you have them there forever. All right. Sarah. Oh, by the way, and then, so let me finish. Hold on. So if your desktop is empty and your downloads is empty, mine still is not, but if your desktop is empty and your downloads is empty, then go to the documents and start organizing them in this way, and find a way that helps you. Because by now you might have 20 things here, or you might have, I have 107 items, but remember that 107 doesn't mean much, because when I open this, see, this here says 107, but my folder is closed. When I open the folder, now it went to 113, because folders hold stuff, right? And then I have another folder. So now it says 114. So by the time you open everything, that truly is everything that I have in here when all the folders are open. Now I do know that for sure, and let me open this Zoom. Oh, Zoom has a lot of stuff. And now I have 194 items, and each one of these folders has something, but I'm not going to open each one of these because I know what they are, and I'll tell you later. But yeah, so this is what I want you to do. Go over here while I keep helping people and begin to just hit the space bar and see what it is and go, oh, wow, this is from fall 2022. I don't need this anymore. I don't need to save that date. Right click, move to trash. Next one. Oh, whose porch is this? I have no idea. Do I care about it? No, I don't even know what this is. Okay. Someone must have sent it to me. I don't need it. Boom. Next one. Oh yeah, this is my photo of nasturtiums that I want for whatever reason. So this one's a keeper. If it's a keeper, we're going to start making folders to keep the stuff that is keepers. But first of all, just distinguish the stuff that you don't want and start getting rid of it. Okay. Now, one thing that's interesting is that when I hit the space bar on something that's in my computer, I get a big preview of it, right? But when it's in the cloud, that little thing still says in the cloud. It just gives me a small preview of it. Okay, that's the difference of between a small and a big one. That's all. It's just warning, it's just showing it to you so that you can see what it is, but it's still in the cloud. So if you're gonna want it or not, you can still delete it, right? If you don't want it or not, but you can see it. But the icon that's showing it to you will be a little bit smaller. So that's another, and this is a big one. This one is here. This is a small one. It's in the cloud. Okay. So if you see that, all right, keep working on that while I keep answering questions. All right, Sarah.
Yeah, I have a question. I did do the thing with the time, the hard drive external. And for me to eject it, I have to put it in the trash. On my MacBook Air, Monterey. So that's one thing. And I want to,
Well, why do you need to put it in the trash? But by the way, let me share my screen. Yes, in the past, the way to eject was to take it, I know this sounds weird, and put it in the trash. It's like weird, but we did this for 20 years. That was the way to eject a hard drive. So you can do that. That's the way to eject them. And we literally for 20 years, that's how we ejected. But now that the handy dandy right click eject time is there, why would you need to put it in the trash? What's happening when you right click, you don't find the eject?
yeah, that I'll figure that out. But
No, but don't tell me I'll figure it out. I'm asking, when you right click, don't you see an eject?
okay, we're on the.
All right, let's do this. Why don't you share your screen? Because
No, forget it. It takes me too long. You already heard my private message.
oh, no, I didn't. You have a private message there? Let me see. I'm sorry.
And you can address
No,
it. I just wanted you to know that that's.
no, but I don't see any. So maybe you didn't send it. Hit send or something. There's no
I
message.
sent it on meeting chat and it's to you.
Well,
But basically,
try again, because I'm just telling you it's not there. Maybe you didn't hit send or return, hit your return key. It's not there. I don't have anything. I'm
Okay.
just saying.
right.
Okay.
Anyway, I have extreme mental disabilities.
Got it.
And-
I'm sorry.
and-
No, you don't need to disclose things that you don't want to disclose.
I don't care. I don't
Okay.
mind. It's
All right.
just, that it takes me longer. And that's why I want to be
Mm-hmm.
able on my desktop right now. I mean, I'm used to the old way of ejecting. So if I unplug my external hard drive and then re-put it in, will it show up on my desktop?
Yeah. So here's the thing. Here's my hard drive. This is my Time Machine hard drive. I want to eject it, which, as I said, if you want to, you can do this way, or you can grab it and put it here. But notice that this used to look like a trash can. See, it's full of stuff. But when I put this on top of it, see how it changes? It looks like a trash, but it changes into this little icon that's like an upper arrow or something.
Yeah.
That's the eject icon. Let me show you
Okay.
one final thing, and this is for everyone else, maybe not for you, because if that's one you know how to do, there's one final way to eject something. It is over here where I told you in the Finder where you can see the name. That little same icon that I told you appears over there, that up arrow. If you click on that little button, that's also means eject. So that means eject or right click or, and I'm going to do that. I'm going to just drop it in here and boom, it's gone. Now, see, it's gone from here and it's gone from here. And
Right.
so right now, it's still connected on my laptop. It's still plugged in, but I don't see it. So it's important that when you eject a disk, at this point, you must go to your computer and unplug, which is what I just did. Because
Got
if you don't unplug, you might think that your hard drive isn't working. If you just eject it and don't see it, you might be like, what's happening? Why I'm not seeing it? So now I've unplugged it. Here it is. And now when I want to put it in again, I'm going to plug it in again. And it'll pop up it here in a few seconds. Okay, once it begins. And that is how I will bring it in again.
Got
Now
it.
I have it on. All right, so here it is. It appeared again and it appeared again, right? So, and so you can, I put it in the trash like that, but see how the icon changes. It's not the trash icon anymore. Or I right click, or the one that most people wouldn't know is when I go over here. And this by mistake, you might have clicked right here. And you might be wondering how come my time machine isn't backing up if it's plugged in. It might be that it's been, that you actually clicked on this. And there you go. That also ejects it. It's gone. And now I still plugged into my computer. So I might think when I open it up that something's wrong with my hard drive again. Why? Because it's still plugged in. So if you don't see your hard drive for some reason or another as an icon, just unplug it and then plug it in again. That's all you need to do. Now,
Why,
yes.
why is it that you have on your screen the hard drive, you have, the icon, the hard drive. I don't have that. I have attachments. And I want all there. Now I got my time machine back. That's good. I got it on the desktop. That's fine. But then I want also to have the hard, like the hard
Yeah.
drive.
That's what I was saying at the beginning. Some people have them, some people not. It's actually safer not to have it because it doesn't help you to have it, and you could mess things up if you have it, because the whole point is that, and let me show you, when you double click the time machine and it opens up, it leads you into those folders that are the really dangerous ones to alter. If you were to put things in here right now, like you drop a file in here, if you were to open up and for many mistakes or whatever, end up deleting one of the system folders or anything from the library, these are things that make the computer work. This is the actual applications. Like what you see when you open this is so messy. So one of the biggest problems I have when people share their screens with me is that I go into this area of their computers and they have lots of stuff and junk in here, which isn't a folder. It's like completely the wrong place for them to be. And I think I did that last week for someone who shared their screen. I emptied out from this area for 2 people. I emptied out stuff from this area. It only is there if you have that and made a mistake and dropped things in there. So there's zero reason for this to be here. So I
Okay.
would highly recommend not having it there. I'm going
Right.
to leave it there because since I teach, people do have it there. But if you don't have it, be happy. It's easier to not have it there. Okay. It's better to not have it there. You said that you had something called attachments up here.
Yeah, I have a folder and it's excuse me, I've just got this horrible cold. That it says with the little cloud attachments. So that is a folder that says attachments and it has an iCloud symbol. So if I open that up, it will show me in attachments, just 2 things, a syllabus and whatever text stuff.
So somehow or another, at some point, you got a folder labeled attachments landed on your desktop. If you click and hit your spacebar to see what that is, you might see if that's an attachment of something that you don't care about. If you put it here in the desktop and look at it here, you will see what kind of file it is, see if it matters to you. If it matters and you want to keep it, put it in documents. If you don't, and you don't even know what it is, or it's like I just did an invitation to something from 2 years ago, just get rid of it. Just because it's there doesn't mean it's important. It just means that something you downloaded, because attachments are things that are attached to emails. And when you download them, they should end up in the downloads folder. If somehow it got moved to the desktop, that's what they are. But that's all it is. And if basically it doesn't matter where it is, just look at it and go, do I need it or do I not need it? No, that's old. Okay, right click, move to trash. It doesn't matter if it's there or not.
Okay, yeah, I got that. And I'll put it to trash, and then there might be a syllabus. I might put that. It's like, say, for horticulture class, the green gardener class syllabus. Then I would want to put that into
your documents folder.
Documents. Then I have a thing called horticulture. And
and that's what we're going to do. Like in a few minutes, we're going to head over to documents and begin to really organize our document stuff. Okay. And yes, that would be, put it in a folder called horticulture. Exactly.
Okay. Thank you. I'll work on that right now.
You're welcome.
I'm
right.
sorry, I don't want to take up time. Okay,
No,
bye.
that's fine. All right. So, one more, question, Barbara. Yep.
You're on mic.
You're muted, Barbara.
I'm sorry, Diane. I'm trying to remember it.
Remember the question? Yeah,
Yeah,
sometimes when
but,
a question goes long, you guys might need to make a little note because by the time I get to you, I'm sorry.
but you know, yesterday morning, I jumped out of bed and got a shower and got something to eat and came in and turned my computer on thinking it was Tuesday morning.
Oh, I saw a message saying that Barbara connected to the class. I
Yeah.
figured you'd figure it out.
And I was watching your videos and you have a stage manager.
Yes.
I don't have that. Does that come with?
It comes with Ventura and I haven't shared it
Oh.
yet, in part because it's kind of who was it that had it on? I think Doran's computer had the stage manager turned on. If you have Ventura, only Ventura, you have a choice to turn on a thing called the stage manager. And I'm trying to remember where you turn it on from. Let
Up
me
in the
just-
toolbar.
It's not in the
I
toolbar
have
yet for me.
Ventura now, but it was a quickie. You know, I did Ventura and I didn't do anything. I mean, it's just Ventura. I don't know a thing about it.
So when you're in Ventura, and right now, here, I don't have anything open, so it not might be the best example. No, I do. I have 3 things open. I have my Photos app open here. See how, if you look at my dock, I have a little dot under my Photos app.
Right.
I have a little dot under Safari, and I have a little dot under Zoom. You see that? So I have 3 things open. This one doesn't count. Finder's always open. So especially for people who leave things on all the time, there's a new item called Stage Manager, and I'm opening it up from here. And if the Stage Manager is available and running and working, then I actually, you know what, have to still enable it because I think I had turned it off. I need to go over here. I'll have to remember where to, I had turned it off and now I need to remember where to turn it on from again. I have to enable it. Stage Manager, show in menu bar. Well, or don't show, but I need to enable it.
Well, I don't. I turn
Anyway,
my
I'll
computer on.
I'll figure out how to enable it. But basically, yeah, what it does is it puts in here a little icon of the 3 open apps. So it's not only good enough to have that here and that here and that here, but for people who many people didn't know that this means it's open. For years, what I've done is I hold down the command key and hit the tab, and that shows you the 3 or 4 things that are open, right? So I have Zoom open, I hit the tab again, I have Finder, there's Safari, and there's Photos. So how do I do that? I hold on the command key again, and then keeping it held down, I hit tab. And so now I'm going to switch to, I let go right now because I'm selecting Safari. Boom, then it shows me, oh, there it is. The Stage Manager now is opened up. Okay, so hit tab. And now I'm gonna open Safari, and now Safari opens up. I guess I don't have any windows in Safari opened up. Here we go. I hit state tab and I go to Zoom instead. But the whole point is that it stashes itself kind of over there on the side. It's no different than what we've done forever. I haven't found it necessarily helpful, but, and here's the part that really matters to people, is that this is how on an iPad you can begin to have more windows than one open and see them at the same time. And so this was a solution for the iPad. And then people who came from the world of iPads into the Mac, they wanted to suddenly know how to use it. And so they're trying to bring in iPad things into the Mac. So then if I want to use my Photos window, I just go in here and switch to my Photos window. So now I can switch from this one to this one. See what I'm doing? I'm gonna basically these are the two things that I can zoom behind. You can't zoom through Zoom because Zoom is open the whole time, right? So Zoom is the only one that's not. So if, I guess I could, Zoom, but here, let me open, if I open something else, let me open, I don't know, I'm gonna open my calendar now. And then I'm gonna open my notes. So I'm opening 2 or 3. See, the more things I have open, I'm gonna open one more. I'm gonna open my app store. So now I have 4 things open. And see how they just sit up there?
Yes.
And instead of going here, I always go, well, now I always have said, well, now if you want to go to the notes, just click on this. If you want to go to calendar, click on that. If you want to go to photos, click on that. If you want to go to Safari, click on that. But now see what's happening as you click on that, because I turn on the Sage Manager, then I can just pick them from here. It's just a different way to pick them. And all I see it in a small screen is more space is taken up. Personally, that's what I think. But for people who think, oh my God, this is the best thing, now I can really see what's open. If seeing that dot was too complicated, then do this, it's just, that's all it does. But I don't necessarily see personally a reason to do it. And since a lot of people don't have it yet, I guess once most people are in Ventura, I might begin to demo it as a feature. I personally want it off. So I'm going to go over here to my control panel and turn it off. And now, for better or for worse, that means that all 4 are open up, right? And then I'm going to just kind of minimize them so that you can see the equivalent work.
That's generally how, when I have things.
So this
open,
is now,
maybe
if I
have-
want something, I need to open notes, I'll open notes, right? And then that's what I'll do. And if I want to open calendar, the only advantage is that it's harder to keep. The advantage and disadvantage is that you can't keep 2 things open in the Sage Manager. And sometimes I want to go to my calendar and then compare it with something that I have in my notes or something that I have in Safari because or in my mail, and I want to have things open. With a Sage Manager, you can only have one thing open at once. So anyway, it's good and bad depending
Thank
on
you.
your needs.
I
Okay.
don't think I need it because I have an enormous monitor.
Yeah,
and I have lots of room. I can move stuff.
it's a choice.
around.
So you can turn it on or off. And so
Thank you.
basically you turn it on from here, then it starts happening. So hopefully the rest of you guys can test that. I haven't shown it here yet. And since someone did demo it and it is in the recordings, I believe it was Doran's computer had it on, then I just decided to show it to you again. But I'm not going to go much further than that. If you guys are interested to turn it on, just play with it. You just basically anything that's on, you can just click on them from here. Some of you might find that it's like the best thing since, sliced bread. And if so, tell me. All right. So I'm not seeing any other hands as far as files are concerned. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to assume that you guys have all moved everything over. So I'm going to do the same thing because I haven't yet. I'm going to move all my stuff over. And so I'm going to go ahead and move this over to my documents folder. And this actually is the only thing I'm going to leave here, guys, because these are sample files that if I need to, for any reason, show you something again, I don't want to mix it up with the rest, because here I have some samples that when I say, oh, well, let me show you this example, that example, like when people were asking me. So I'm going to actually not get rid of this one for now. But basically, other than that, and there's a reason why I'm keeping it there, what this means is that I have nothing in my downloads, nothing in my desktop, everything in my documents, which is a ton of stuff. So we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to start to organize this. Ideally, we'll end up with maybe 5, max 10 folders in here. And I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay. To organize everything. But let's take our break first. So what time is it? 10:20 to 35, right? So be back by 10:35 a.m. All right. See you guys in 15. All right, everyone, come on back.
I'm
Come
getting
on
there,
down.
Diana.
You're getting there.
Well,
Great.
very slowly, but I thank you. Been working on it.
You're, it always amazes me how sometimes these things are just slowly creep up on you and you get it and other times it's like at some point people just suddenly go, oh, and it all kind of like suddenly, oh, I get it now, right? And it just like makes sense. So
Yeah,
whatever time it takes, it's the right time for you.
it's okay, but I'm just gonna have to do it the old fashioned way because I used to know how to do it with my this old computer.
Mhm.
So what I'm doing is I've gotten into documents and I'm now getting subfolders. You
Mhm.
know, so what I did is I had a folder that says Fautois Art Refuge.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna put everything that is connected with that in that folder.
That's exactly what we're going to be doing now. So what you're doing is exactly right.
Okay,
So here's here's what we're doing today. We are going to, and show me signs of life, those of you who aren't around, like if I'm not seeing your videos, just give me a little, like Julie or Yolanda, well, Richard, Mimi. I'm going to start sharing something that's completely new and I want to make sure everyone is here. So I'm actually going to change my share to start with. And first I'm going to ask you guys to give me a show of hands for everyone who who knows how to create new folders. Give me a yes if you know, give me a no if you don't. Depending on how many say that, I might spend a bit more or less time on it. It's okay not to know, it's good to know. It's fine, I just want to know. All right. All right, so I think sometimes, well, Julie's not here yet. I think it was Julie's computer. One of you guys,
I'm back.
oh, there you are, Julie. Your documents folder is pretty well organized into big folders, isn't it? My memory in your documents, you pretty much have some big folders. You kind of did a very good organization last time, didn't you?
It says 49 items.
I'm trying to remember. There's someone who shared their screen and it was amazing how well organized their stuff was. And it was someone in this class and I wanted to show it as a demo.
You want me to
Yeah.
share my screen?
Go ahead. I'm not sure if it's yours, but if it is, okay. So this is kind of what I'm talking about. But my screen, when I shared, you saw there was lots of loose stuff, right? When Julie's sharing hers, it's mostly folders with a few loose things, right? Now, this is almost ideal, but not yet. Why? Because she still has 49 items. It's okay. It's not necessarily bad to have 49 items, but let me let some people in. Hold on, we're just arriving. There you go. But my ideal would be, so first of all, she had thousands of items, who knows, hundreds of thousands. And so she decided to make folders to put like items together. So she has one called class samples, one called Christmas letters, one called ancestry, right? Now, whenever you need to find something, it's much easier if she knows she's trying to find that letter that, you know, she's picking up the letter that she wrote last year for Christmas and she wants to go and write the new one. Maybe you just have a format and you open up the old one and then you just modify things or whatever. So you find it easily versus having it. Because one year you might have called it Christmas letter. Another year you might have called it letter. Can you not do too many changes yet? Right
I'm
now, Julie?
sorry, all of a sudden everything was in the wrong place. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
no, it's okay. Anyway, so if instead of having to, like, if you open the Christmas letter, don't open it. I don't want to necessarily go into your personal stuff, but I might one year call it 2023 Christmas. Another year I might call it Christmas 2023. Another
Yeah.
year I might call it Xmas 2021. Who knows, right? It's not like I ever remember every time what to write it. You seem to be better at it. You seem to be more consistent to calling it the same thing. But sometimes it's hard to know how you labeled something.
Yeah.
So putting anything that you find that was a Christmas letter in a folder called Christmas letters seems like a really good solution, because then next Christmas, first of all, it's not messing around the rest of the year. And then when you do need to create your new one, you can just go to this one and kind of, riff off of it. All right, good. Can you close your Christmas letters now? Okay. But my only comment to this would be that 49 items or 49 folders, maybe there's 9 loose items, maybe 40 folders is still a bit too many in the sense of simplicity. Now, as long as it's enough that you can see most of them at first glance, that's good. But see how from A to L, she's at the L, you'd have to scroll quite a bit. Can you scroll all the way down? Keep scrolling. You have to scroll all the way down. That's 2 scrolls, not so bad. You had the L before, now you have the L to the Z. It's not so bad, but you want to try to keep it handy, that in one glance, you know exactly where to go. So my recommendation, scroll down a little bit, like to see the top again, a little bit more, of course, other than getting some loose stuff in their place. But for example, I see genealogy friends, genealogy for family, genealogy general, genealogy pages, genealogy research. What I would do there is I would create one super folder called genealogy, right? And then put all these folders in there. And so the ideal organization might end up being 10 folders. I don't know, 20 folders instead of 40, right? Where you go in like one called financial, and anything from donations to bills to investments to whatever, retirement goes into one called finances. You know what I'm trying to say? Like super folders, so to say. Then she takes a lot of classes. So one big folder called, class material, downloads, files, whatever, classes, right? Inside of that class, there's a folder for her Mac classes, a folder for her genealogy classes, a folder for her, I know someone mentioned horticulture, right? You just have subfolders, and then you put all of the handouts from your genealogy class into that one. Now, someone might say, well, handouts for genealogy, I might still want in my genealogy folder. Okay, so then you might do it that way. But like anything that has to do over here, I'm seeing insurance claims or donations. That's all I'm seeing right now off the top of this. If there's a lot more of that down there, that might all be in one thing. So I would recommend, and I'm seeing a lot of individual names like Julie and Dan travel, Julie's mom, Julie's personal. They might be so different that they need to be in 3 different folders, right? But then if you have a lot of travel information, then maybe make a trip called travel. And then one of them will be Europe, one will be South America, one will be, and so on and so forth. But if all of those, a lot of those said Jan and Julie and Dan's family, or Jan and Don's, whatever, I was seeing them. I have a feeling that maybe that's about genealogy too, because it's saying family, right? If that's so, throw them into the genealogy bucket. If it's not, and if it's just, general stuff. So I would still reduce this to something that's a bit more manageable. That said, this is her computer. She needs to be comfortable with it. This is good. This is very organized, right? So I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. It's extremely organized. It's fine. If this is what you want to do, except for I have a feeling it might be a little bit more searching. Here I'm seeing a Mac class, and up there I had seen something other class. I don't know where, something. It might be better to have one folder called classes. I don't know where I had seen that. Never mind. Class sample. There's a class sample, and then there's a Mac class, and I don't know. You probably have some other class thing loose there. Maybe not.
No, it's
but
your diagram.
Yeah, that's good. But then underneath, under M, you have a Mac class, right? And I'm sure that this diagram is also Mac. So see that? So now either that folder has to go into this one or this into that one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
if you take other classes, just because otherwise you have things in two different places. So that class sample can go into Mac class, the entire folder, or just the screenshot of the diagram can go into the Mac class, and then you get rid of one folder, right? So
So I
beginning
would
to
just, I
collapse.
would just click on the blue folder and drag it down.
Yeah, if you want to keep the folder class sample, then yes, you need to drag the whole folder. If you discovered two folders that were the same thing, there you go, put it in Mac class, perfect. Now open Mac class. And now you can decide, did I really need that subfolder, or do I really just need the screenshot of the diagram? Maybe I didn't need that folder. If so, then you can take the screenshot file. Don't right click, because you still have something in it, right? So
Yeah.
grab the screenshot and drag it into Mac class, right? So yeah, and now yeah, and then now you have an empty folder called class sample that you can now delete, right? And so, and by the way, when you hang on to it a little bit longer, like she did, that's when it opens into the folder that you're going to, right? So now if you just back up or go back to documents, you'll see the general one. So now she has a folder that's empty. And if it's unnecessary, you just right click and delete it, because, but I'm not saying you have to delete it. I'm just saying if it was superfluous, when you join things, sometimes you discover, oh, I had two of these, right? So there, now you have all of the folders in the right one. Now, if you have many other classes that you take, that you might want to have one folder called just classes, and inside of that, the Mac class, the Excel class, the whatever class. Does that make sense? So anyway, but this is it. This is the goal, to have things be findable by general names, because rarely will we know exactly the name of the file that I wrote to see that diagram. It said screenshot, diagram, whatever. It would have been harder for her to remember than to go to the Mac class files, and there it is. Oh yeah, I know it's a Mac class file. It's in that folder. Now I have to look through 5 things or 10 things instead of through 500 things, right? To figure out what it might be. So this is great. This is our goal. So what I'm going to teach you right now is to make some general folders, and depending on what you have in your computer, you might have different ones than me, right? If you travel a lot, you will have a folder called travel. If you have a lot of health documents, information about, wellness and stuff like that, how to do this exercise for, to limber up my left knee. So if you downloaded a PDF of that, well, one folder called health or medical or whatever you want to call it, or wellness, right? Another one called finances, another one called classes, et cetera, et cetera. And then depending on what you have, investments, I don't know, and then begin to put everything in those big super folders, right? By the time you're done with those big super folders, it'll help you find out other stuff that you never really needed. You go, why is this still here? Why do I need to organize? Have you ever organized a drawer, and in the middle of that, you discover 3 things that you didn't really need, and boom, out they go. So you might also be doing that. But other than that, inside of those big folders, then you can start going. So if one of the big folders was genealogy, then, and this is for people who have nothing organized yet, right? Not like her, she already has those organized. In her case, I would say is put all of those into one big folder called genealogy. But when you don't have things organized, which is many of you, then you start by creating a super folder, and anything that has any width of being a financial document goes in there. By the time you're done, then you open the finances folder, and then you can start dividing, okay, a folder for taxes, a folder for investments, a folder for bills, a folder for, payment. I don't know.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so you can go from one side or from the other. In your case, you have a lot of the small organization done, and maybe you have folders within these folders. I don't know. So maybe you already have that very well organized, Yeah, so if you look up at there, okay, so scroll up a little bit so we can see the rest of Julie and Dan travel. So in there, I'm seeing a bunch of different ones, but it's not that many. So it's probably good enough to keep it as that. But if you begin to have many more, then maybe you start specifically saying travel, just put in a folder called Argentina, because I see there that you went to my country. And then you have
Couple
another
times.
thing that, yay, is the Patagonia, Argentina. In particular, when it's a couple times, then you start collecting them, and you call a folder Argentina, another called global called, Alaska, I don't know, another called, Europe or Paris or whatever. And then next time you're planning a trip to Argentina, you don't have to search through your 50 travels to look for Argentina information. Now, that's not too many, so that still, in my opinion, might not need sub-organization in this case, but it's up to you. If you want to be really organized, then go ahead and put more organization into that. I see Yellowstone, like you can put national or international travel, whatever. My way of organizing sometimes is by place, but more importantly, a lot of travel is the same no matter where you go. And there might be a folder called, documents. And so no matter where you're going to go, you know that you always need to like make sure that these kind of documents are in order. And another one is just like research or planning or stuff like that. So you can do that kind of thing too. Anyway, thank you for sharing your folder. That was really informative. And this is our goal. And the loose things that she has down there, like go to the screenshots, like under safety, she has some loose stuff, right? So now the goal is to keep opening up and say, oh, this is a screenshot of something I did in my Mac class. Okay, boom, drag it into your Mac class folder. Oh, this is a screenshot of when my disk didn't eject properly. Okay, I have a folder called problems with my computer. Like when I actually have things that don't work, I make a screenshot. I put it in a folder called computer issues or problems. And then next time I call the tech or need tech support, they want to see, you can't just explain what happened. You have them to show them the message that appeared. So then I'll show them the message that appeared and I'll clear up all those questions, right? So I have a folder for screenshots of things that are going wrong with my computer, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, thank you for sharing. And now we're going to start doing this, right? So anything that you leave loose. Oh, the last thing I was going to say, you might get to a place where you have things that don't work for any particular thing, right?
Yeah.
It's not genealogy, it's not travel, it's not, it really doesn't fit anywhere. As long as you have, say, 10 of those or 15 of those, they really don't fit anywhere. Like, for example, if you're not someone who sews, you might not have sewing patterns or sewing information on your computer, but you, for some reason or another, managed to, like me, download a sewing pattern and make a mask because, hey, that's what we had to do. But I don't have a folder for my sewing patterns. So, but I tried a few and that's the one that worked. So I don't want to get rid of it. So instead of leaving it loose, I actually always make a folder called just miscellaneous, like, hey, things that are not enough to, make a folder for, but that I want to have it because I still want it because I know that if I ever need it again, that one worked, right? So I just throw that in miscellaneous. And so when I know that I'm not looking for financial or for this or for that, I'll just go to my miscellaneous and there I'll find a couple of loose things that I have decided are important enough for me to keep. Sounds silly. Sometimes I like quotes. So I have a folder called quotes inside of a folder called personal. So I have a personal folder where I have like gardening tips or this or that, but none are important enough, right? But I divide them into that. I have recipes for Thanksgiving because I cook so much all year without recipes, but Thanksgiving, I kind of need some recipes. So that goes into personal. And then I know that when it's next time there's a, health scare or it's Thanksgiving, I'll go to personal, open the recipes, and there's my Thanksgiving recipes. I don't have to go to the web and research them all over the place, right? But I don't have enough recipes on my computer to make a folder called recipes. It's not worth it. Okay. So, yeah, so that's my suggestion, to not the loose things that are good to keep, make a folder for them. And then you know that if it's loose, it still needs to be organized, or it might be something you don't need anymore. And then we just keep less loose things hanging around. Now that's a good example of what to do. Now I'm going to answer Mimi's question, but what I'm going to start is showing you how to do this. Okay. How to make this happen. All right. So Mimi.
So I guess, are you saying, like, just for instance, if you have a travel folder and would you have photos there, or would you put your photos over in the photo album?
Yeah, no, great question. And I know maybe you have a lot of images in that way a lot of your questions have to do that. And some of you might be too. You have a lot of images as part of what you have. If you're going to use the Photos app, then organize it in your Photos app. Like, the whole goal of the Photos app is not to have photos on the computer and photos in the Photos app, so you never know where things are. It's to have all your photos in the Photos app. And then in there, you have a folder called Travel. Inside of that folder, you have things from, you know, your trip to France, or your trip to Argentina, or your trip to Egypt. And you, if it's just folders, you do it there. That said, now and then you might have a reason why, if you did some research for your trip to Egypt in the folder called Egypt, where you have documents and visa information and all of that, and vaccines or whatever, you might want to drop in a photo in there of something that you know is a goal that you want to research. I mean, yeah, there's a reason sometimes to have a photo in a folder, but for the most part, if it's photos of something that you already did or took, then just, yeah, organize that in the Photos album. And we're in the Photos class, which I know you're in, we're getting to the place that's tomorrow where we're going to do this kind of organization, but in the Photos album, in the Photos app, right? So you can do exactly the same thing I'm telling you to do here, but within the Photos app, and not have them duplicated. So, and that's the crucial thing. If you do have them in the Photos app, don't keep them here. Get rid of them here. Put them in the Photos app, and then do not have them here. So that ideally all your photos are in one place, and all your friends' photos are in one place, instead of some are here, some are there, some are everywhere. And whoo, did I put this here? Who knows where it is, right? That's what you don't want. But when you're first organizing, it might be a good idea to first create a folder called Photos, you know, loose photos, call it, or something like that. And then just drag that whole album in, or just drag them once each time. Like I showed you before, if you only have 10 or 20, that's fine. But if you have, you know, a couple hundred, like I think maybe some people do have, then it's easier to just slowly drop into a folder called Pictures, and then begin to organize them. So, but not in both places, because that's when it becomes harder. What if you had your, you know, your silverware in two different places, and every time you're running out of spoons, you'd have to search the pantry drawer and the kitchen drawer for a spoon? No, just put all the spoons in one place, right? Unless they're a special silver set that you want, you know, to use occasionally, then you have them somewhere else. But other than that, you want things in one place. So, so yeah, so the photos question is something that everyone has some photos hanging around, and always has that question, always want to know. So my big recommendation is, if you really have a lot of photos that you need to organize and you want to know how to do a correct job, that's what I teach in my iLife class, the Living the iLife. So next time you see it come up, I'm teaching it now, and the next time will be in spring again. It's not scheduled for the fall, although things change. And if one of my credit classes cancel, we might still teach it. So keep an eye on my emails. Sometimes I tell you things that get rescheduled. But for the most part, the next time that it's scheduled now is for the spring. So here's my documents folder, right? I have emptied out my downloads. I said, this is just for me for teaching purposes. I'm going to assume it's empty. My desktop is empty. So now I have a ton of stuff in here. So I'm starting with a very unorganized folder. So how do I create more folders? Well, I have to say, I love seeing things this way, but it might not be the most comfortable one for organization. Let me just be clear. There's another view, which is the columns one, that might be a little bit easier for when I'm doing this big organization, like the big chunks of stuff. So I might have you look at things in this view, but for now, let's keep things up here in the view that I've been using all this time. And I'm going to reshare my entire screen, because when I asked who knows how to create folders, I did have some people who said they didn't know. So I'm going to close this window. And first we're going to create one here in the desktop, just so that we understand how to create folders. So let's go to your desktop, clean everything else out, get rid of anything else that's open. You don't need any open things, remember. And I'm going to close my photos now, because I don't need it right now open. It was open, and I'm going to quit my Safari because I don't need that open. So now I have nothing else open, just to have it clean, you know, a clean desktop. And now there's so many ways to create new folders. The easiest one, right click on the desktop, hit new folder. A new folder appears. When it first appears, and this is the crucial part, don't click, don't put your mouse anywhere, don't do anything. Go straight to your keyboard and call this one, like I'm going to type, this is going to be my finances folder. So I'm going to start typing an F That's all I'm gonna do, right? F, and everything disappears. And then I can write financial or something like that, right? When I'm done and I've changed the name, I can either click away somewhere here, or I can hit my return key. And there it is. I've created a financial folder that's empty. It's like I've just labeled a little manila folder that I picked up. So right click, new folder. If you click in here, then you have to get rid of this. So now you have to do the whole job of selecting this and hitting delete, and then selecting again and hitting delete. So it's kind of more work. And then you create another one called, I don't know, taxes. And I'm going to hit return, right? Then you're going to create another one. I'm going to create a new folder, and then I'm going to call this one travel or trips or something like that, travel. So that's one way. If you make a typo, right, and say that you call this one whatever, and you ended up with that, and it was supposed to be travel, then you can right click on the name, just click, right click, go to rename and rewrite it, or if it's just a typo, fix it, or just rewrite it, right? And so then that's the easiest thing. So I had just added some stuff in the middle, so I can just fix it that way. Now, this might still not be necessarily easy to you, but that's one good way to do it. So now I have 3 folders. Another way to create folders is to go just up to here to the Finder and say File, New Folder. File, New Folder. And so when you go from there, they always appear here on the far right side. So then you give it a name in here. I'm going to go to class files, right? So I'm going to call that one class files. So right now I'm just creating general folders. This is not where I want them ultimately. I don't want them in the desktop, but this might be a good place, if your desktop is free, to create some of these big super folders, right? Another way to create them is Shift Command N is the shortcut, and boom, another one appeared over there. So now I'm going to call this one loose pictures, for example, right? So I'm just suggesting a few that I'll put in. If you do genealogy, put genealogy. If you're into cooking, put cooking stuff in there, right?
Yeah.
Let's create some general big folders. Hold on one second. With the understanding that later taxes is definitely financial. So taxes is something that will have to go into financial. Does that make sense? And how I would do that. So say that I create, investments and taxes, then these 2 should go in there. So why not just do it now? I'm going to grab taxes and drop it, write that into financial. And I'm going to grab investments and drop it into financial. So I'm just creating a structure to start with. I'm almost ready to answer your questions. But at this point, if I look at all of these are all different. These are nothing's going to go into them. But if I take many classes, I might want to create a new folder and call this one horticulture. If this is, a class I'm taking, I can throw it in there. If it's an interest I have and I have a lot of files, then it's just a main one, right? I might want to have one this being called Mac classes, or another one for those of you who take, I don't know, Photoshop, right? Class, in which case my Mac class will drop in there. My Photoshop class will drop in there. Horticulture is an interest. It's not a class. So that'll be a super folder, et cetera, et cetera. So this empty desktop is a great place to create my structure, right? And I recommend this because it's easier to create folders here than to create them inside. And I'm going to show you how to create them inside as well. But this really helps because look, now when I go to my Finder window, when I go to my desktop, here I've begun to create a structure. It's empty. There's nothing in them. But if I open my class file, I already have Photoshop and Mac. When I open my financial, I already have my investment and taxes. If you know the kind of files you have, you can create a good structure with nothing in it yet, right? Loose pictures that minimizes, the mess of having to create these in the midst of all this stuff, right? So this is a good trick. Now I have a couple more ways to show you how to create folders in here, but let me first answer questions. So yes, Yolanda, meanwhile, keep creating on the desktop, because this is the same thing that I'm showing you, keep creating in the desktop a structure, a set of remember, if you say file, new folder, they'll appear way over here. And if you right click, they'll appear wherever you put them. So again, find another, thing to put in there. So I'm gonna give the example of recipes, because say that I'm a really good cook, I'm gonna put a lot of recipes in there. Okay, that said, a lot of people now just
What is the shortcut you were saying before of Shift Command? what?
Shift Command N, Shift Command N, and
N.
there comes a new one. N for new. Shift
Got it.
Command N for new.
Okay,
Yeah,
Perfect.
and so there I'm gonna put this one, I'm gonna call this one I don't know, another financial invoices, for example, from my business or something like that. And then I'm gonna put that one in there. Okay. So then when I do that, if I go in here into financial, now I've actually have invoices, investment, and taxes in there. All right. So
Got
this is just as a choice. Now I had a question from Yolanda. So yes, Yolanda.
Yes. When you said, so I clicked and the folder appeared and I had to title it. When you said, don't do anything, just stop, just start typing, go to the
Mhm.
typewriter and type the title. Whenever I do that, it doesn't work. All it does is click, click, click. In other words, like the typewriter is telling me. So then I had to click on the folder until it becomes blue so that I can.
Yeah. So here's the thing. When you first create it, it is selected. So I just made click new folder and this appears. This is a non-selected folder. This is a selected highlighted one. When it's highlighted and I just created it, the name in this little light blue mode is ready to disappear. Anything selected will disappear. And no matter what I click on the keyboard, I'm going to randomly throw my hand on the keyboard and boom, I landed on the G. And all that selected area got replaced by the G.
When you
Okay.
say I had to tap on the folder first.
No. When I first create it, watch, new folder. That's it. It is selected. Now, I'm not saying if it's already been created, but if you've just created it, it looks like this. It is ready to go. The word untitled folder is bright blue. This is where if you click and I just put my hand on the keyboard and boom, that just happened. Now, if I said new folder and then I click away, then the name that's left is untitled folder. So now I have to reselect it and it's dark blue. It's not changeable. Then I have to right click and rename. Now it's back to being light blue. Now I can rename it. Does that make sense? So now that these have been created with the wrong names, when I click on them, they have this dark blue over it, under it, and that's not changeable. I would have to click in one more time in there. That's another way to rename. And when it's light blue, I can click it. But a lot of people then click in again, and then it's white. And then that means that now you have to delete and erase. And it's just so much more work, but you can do that anyway, and then call it the next thing you want to call it, right? So it's okay if you end up messing up and have the wrong name. It's as simple as right click, rename. It highlights again, just like when it was new. And now you put the right name in. So here I'm going to say desserts, right?
Diana.
Because I'm clicking that.
That is
Yes.
what I've been doing all the time because I could not, when I type, when you say, click, in other words, so
So how about we do this? Why don't you share with me your screen and I'll see the process and I'll catch whatever it
Okay.
is that's not working. A lot of times it's easier for me after I demo it. If it still's not working, it's easier for me to see it. Yeah. So
my mouse and a folder, new folder. Now I have a new folder.
yeah, there it is. Now, don't do anything. Don't do anything. The moment you do anything, that untitled folder is going to now end up with the name untitled folder too. Right now, go to keyboard and write the name of this folder. Write sample. I don't know, whatever. So go and hit the S. There it is, sample. Okay. So it's that moment of creation where you go straight to the keyboard, then the word sample appeared.
Straight to the keyboard. Oh, I see. So probably what has been happening is that I touch on that, like right now, I want to touch because I cannot see what I'm doing because it's being covered by Sarah.
By the Zoom, yeah. So so you're, just so you know, it worked. Your folder is called sample no. So why don't you close the Finder window? Because I'm suggesting that you do this on your desktop right now because it's easier. So close this Finder window, the one that you're working on, move it over so you can close it. Click on this one and drag it over. The one that says documents, you moved it to the left. By doing that, you can't close it because now you're not getting the, click and drag a bit and move it in.
I'm sorry.
Go click right now. Make a click right now where your hand is. Click. Good. Now click and drag it to the right a little bit. Drag it over to the right. There we go. Now close this window. Just
All
go
right.
to the red dot and close this window.
Okay, got it now.
Red dot on the left of right where you are. Go a little bit to the left and click on the red dot.
Click here, right here.
Yeah, close this window. Perfect. Because your right side is covered by your Zoom stuff, right? That's why you can't, we can see it. We can see that you made a perfect folder, but you
Yeah.
can't see it. So in your case, instead of going up to File Untitled, because they will all be created under the Zoom folder, just do it right here. Do a right click where you are that you can see. Right click your mouse and just say new folder right there. Oh, you have it organized. Okay. If it's still forcing itself to go to the right, you created it, but it's created under your Zoom window, just so you know. You have your system set to organize itself automatically, and thus it's throwing itself to the right. Can you move the Zoom window over a little bit now so that you can see the folders that you've been creating?
Yeah, right.
On the far right, where all these folders are being created, you have your Zoom in the way. Can you grab it from the black area and move it over for just a little bit?
This one right here.
No. Okay. So let me stop you for a minute because I know, let me, here, I'm going to request remote control for a second. Go ahead and see if you can say yes to that. Thank you. So for us, you guys who are watching, it's very clear this is where her folders are, but on her computer, this is all covered up, right? Because Zoom is covering up, and that's why she can't see what's happening. One of the things that's happening is that when she creates a new one right here, I'm going to create a new one. Right click, new folder. This is me now. I showed you in my computer how when I create new folder, it created itself right here, but in hers, it's going way over there, which is not good in this case. So what's happening is she has this choice where her windows are being shown. Let me see. How are you? Your desktop. Where did you? I'm trying to find how to organize your desktop. 1 second. Show view options. Give me a second. Trying to remember how to. It should have been here in this sort, but instead of sorting, you have used stacks, group stacks by. So I'm going to go over here to stacks and say none, but I don't think that's it. But yeah, there we go. So suddenly all your stuff is all over the place. You see where everything is a bit of a mess now? You had it organized. So I'm bringing all the folders that you had here that were hiding out here. Only this is not ideal. I'm going to organize it again for you, but I'm just showing you so that now when you right click and create a new folder, it'll create itself right here. Do you see that now?
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let me actually get rid of all these that I've been creating in the midst of, let me delete them so you don't have a lot of junk there. So here you have one called desktop to sort. Here you have the sample. This is you just created. I'm not going to change the rest because you already made them. Maybe you have something important there. Go ahead now, you with your mouse. If you can see this area, click right here and create a folder now. Good. Now go to your keyboard and write whatever you need to write this folder for. Maybe it's samples or whatever. See what I mean?
And
Now
then
that you, what's that?
Hit return,
Hit return or just click on the desktop.
click on the desktop.
That helps, or just hit the return key. Like put your mouse and click on anything and there it is. So that's how now the name is sealed. Okay, that name is there.
When does it mean I should, when it's blue, is it giving me?
It's ready. It's nothing. You're done. Click on some other, click on the orange flower now on the background.
The background, orange flower.
Yeah, the big old background. Yeah, click on that. There you go. You've made a desktop. That's the name. When you select it again, select the testing folder again now. Go to the testing folder and select it one more time. The one that you just created. Yeah. No, right click. Just regular click. When you select, you're right clicking again. Just regular left click. You don't need we don't need to right click. Yeah, just selecting it. Now, that's when you see it highlighted and the name turns blue. Now go and click on desktop to sort and you'll see that the name will turn blue again. Do you see your folder called desktop to sort right there, or Yo's poetry? See, every time you select a folder, the name gets bright blue, but that isn't meaning that you're changing the name. It's just highlighting it for you to see that that's the one you're highlighting. If you were to want to change the name, go back to testing. Now you can right click and say rename, which is like the 4th choice down or 5th choice down. And now it's light blue again. Now you can change it to something else, you know, whatever, friends, whatever. No, but don't. Okay, see, you clicked in there, which is not bad, but now you will have to get rid of that first. So go ahead and now you have to click in there and select that and delete it, or click delete, which is fine. It's not necessarily bad, but you already had it selected. Yeah, so now you can hit delete, right? I'm just saying to avoid deleting it by hand, it's already selected the moment you say rename, but it doesn't matter, whichever way you do it. There you go, you've renamed it. Now you can hit return, as I said, or click anywhere else, and that name will be sealed. And there you go, that's the name, right? So
Back to the right side so they are not hitting the
yeah,
middle.
yeah. So now I'm going to do this for you. So over here on the view, sort by use stacks, you can sort by, and over here you can, if you say snap to grid.
There's also view options down below that I saw when you had the, says view options.
Yeah, no, that's a bit different. Yeah, so that one I looked at, but it's not the one. So you're going to clean up. I'm going to say clean up, boom, and everything kind of set itself into a grid, which it's still messy, but it's organized. It's like a grid. So that's one thing. Or clean up by, you can tell it to sort itself by. So you can say clean up by name, for example. So then they go over here and they're alphabetically ordered. Or you can say clean up by, you know, size, you know, you can do by that kind of stuff, but you don't need to do any of those. You can just say clean up or
Yeah.
sort by, or you can go back to using stacks, which is what you had at the beginning. So you had view, use stacks. So then you don't see the choices of cleanup because you're using stacks. And this is stacks. And we're going to talk a little bit later about that. But if you turn off the use stacks, you turn it off by clicking in, then you get the choices of sorting. Okay. So it's good to just sort by none, and then you do whatever you want with these folders, right? So that it's under view. So this is all Finder work. Okay. And you say view. Now, that said, I just really want to clarify, I don't want you to have a lot of stuff here. I want you to not have anything here. So how to sort and organize this is great, but in reality, I really don't want you to have stuff here. So I don't want to get you to really good at this. I want you to say what this is, if it has stuff that's important, where it should go. And again, Finder window. If this is important, then put it in your documents. And then, and I know that the part that I haven't explained yet, if this is important to you, then you can bring out again a little alias or a little shortcut that will point to these things. And I haven't gotten to that point yet. Right now, I'm just asking you to trust me and just make a structure. Okay. Yeah, I think you were trying to ask me a question, Yolanda.
Thank you so much, Diana. My God, all the while I was having to make it blue and rename and type the name.
Yeah. don't worry, just keep doing. Again, now the moment, if this is gone and you keep making one here though, it'll still go and set itself way back, you know. Oh, actually this time it didn't. So then, if you don't want it, guys, if you created a bunch that have different names and you're practicing, just right click on them and move it to trash because you don't need it, right? So this one called delete, we just created kind of as a test. I'm going to delete it and send it to the trash. So now it's all yours. I'm done with your computer. I'm going to stop your sharing and you can go back to doing your organizations.
Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome. So I see 3 hands, so I'm going to keep answering questions. But meanwhile, before I keep answering random questions, I want to make sure that you're all doing the work, okay? Create this structure depending on the files you need, and then keep honing down into what you've already seen your files. You've been looking at them for 3 or 4 days. Start creating folders for the stuff you have. And then I'm going to help you structure it and organize it. And then we're going to add that to our documents folder. And then we're going to start organizing our stuff in the documents folder. But first create your structure. Later, you can create more structure inside the Finder. But right now, that's my goal. Mimi?
So you're asking us to create these super folders on the desktop, but they are ultimately to put documents into. So I don't know.
No, ultimately, these folders we will move into documents. So let me share my screen so that you understand. I'm not advocating that these things be left in here because my goal is the empty desktop. I'm just showing you an easy way to create these, right?
Yeah.
So that's all I'm doing.
But
Because
can-
here it's easy to say, oh, I have a desserts folder and a recipes folder. I'm going to go ahead and put my desserts here into my recipes. And then when I'm done, and these are all nicely structured, but they're empty, there's nothing in them, right?
Right.
So maybe when I have this, see how they're all empty? Now I'm going to grab all these and put them in my documents folder. So this is the end goal. I will put them in my documents folder, right? So the idea is not to keep them there, but to move them into the documents folder. And I'm not going to do it right now. I'm just showing you. And then when I go into my documents folder, they will be here. And then I'll say, okay, what's this? Oh, it's a class file. All right, boom, let's drop it in there. And I'll have the structure that I want created. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
So I'll be moving them in there. But guys, just trust me for a little bit. I'm not done and I want to work through this whole thing. When you empty your desktop, the desktop becomes a good place to work. Now, for someone who already has a lot of structure like Julie, she doesn't need to create that many more in here. You can just keep creating these folders in here in the documents folder. But for people who have a lot of stuff in the documents folder, if you were to create, and I'm going to show you now, a folder in here right now, in the documents folder instead of on the desktop, it just gets a tiny bit more complicated because you would have to, like, if I right click right here, I don't get the choice to open a new folder because I am clicking on something that exists, right? There's no like empty space here. So what I would have to end up doing is for sure to go up here and say new folder there. It's going to pop up there under you for untitled. Then I'm going to write in here something like, I don't know, news articles that I'm saving for whatever, I'm just saying. And then that'll move up to the end because now I gave it an end and there it is. So it's a bit harder to do. And then here I have New York Times Online and I'll put it in there, right? So I'm trying to avoid it being that hard by creating our structure first. And then when the structure is created, we'll put it in here and then start making it. That's all. It's just a trick that seems to work, but I don't want it to be confusing. I don't want you to leave these things on the desktop. It's the first step. We're on step 1. We're creating the structure. It's like the skeleton. Then we're going to flesh it out with, muscles, meat, skins, and we're going to have the whole body. This is the structure, okay, of your organization. Now, some of you already have organization here and there, right? And you'll go, okay, so where are these gonna go, right? Here, so where are they gonna go? And you go, I already have Mac level 2 rosters. That should go inside the class files. Well, just give me a sec. For now, we're just gonna put them in. Like I invented that I have no folders in my documents right now. Most of you have a folder here and there. See if that folder here and there might end up being appropriate to put into one of these. So that's the way you create these super folders, by thinking, what do I have? So I look at this, I'll look at one, and this is what you've been doing hopefully this whole week, looking at your files and going, what's this? Oh, this is a class file. Okay, so later, not now, I'm going to put this one in the class files. But most importantly, if I keep it like this called screenshot, I'll never know what it is. So if I know what it is, and it's like, oh, this is what's new in iMovie, I'll actually right click this one, highlight it, and call this one what's new in iMovie dash 2023, because these are the things. And then just that's the name of that file, right? And so of course it bumps down here because of alphabetical. Now that's the one that I'll put in my class folders, right? So try to label screenshots, whatever they are. If they're useful, awesome. If they're not useful, like this one's not useful, get rid of it. Don't keep them being called screenshots, because, you know, as a screenshot, you know, you don't know what they are. All right. Now I'm going to go back to answering questions, and then I want to come here to tell you more about this. But let me first show one thing. You know, I said this is a place where I organize things, and when I wanted to show you things. So this is an example of organized files. Under a folder called class files to download, I have family files, hierarchy, miscellaneous, recipes, travel. Under travel, if I open it, I have admin kind of files, like visas, that kind of thing, exchange rates, whatever type of money I need to have, cruises, past trips, research. If I open past trips or cruises, I don't seem to have anything in here. Oh, look, under admin, I have contacts, people that I should be calling in case, you know, travel agents, or who to call, my house sitter that I left behind. I don't know, travel insurance, language information, whatever. I just put things in there. Now, this might be too much. Maybe it was enough to have something called, you know, admin, or whatever you want to call it, general. But maybe, for example, I do have under my travel folder, I have a packing list. I have a folder called packing list, and I have like 20 packing lists in there that I've collected over the years. And so now every time I need to pack for something, I'll just go, what kind of trip am I doing? Oh, this is a 5-day ski trip. Okay, I'll go to my packing list and I'll open my last 5-day ski trip. I'll just copy it, create a new one, and call this one 5-day ski trip 2023. If the last one happened in 2020, my kids were babies and I had all this baby stuff in there, I'll delete that. I'll put another thing, and there you go. That's my new packing list, right? So that's my perfect example of how I use my packing list for this kind of thing. And then it's all neatly stowed into travel. So every time I travel now, I don't have to search everywhere for that packing list. I go to travel and I open my packing lists, and in there, there you go. Then I have my stuff, right? So you can, here's another example of recipes. I'll open this up, and I can, if I have 4 recipes, just put them all into a folder called recipes. But if I'm someone who really likes to cook, I might create some subfolders. Like if I'm a bit into genealogy, I have one folder called genealogy, and I have 3 or 5 files in there. But if I start really getting into it, I might have folders for each family and for research and for that, right? So it all depends on what your interest is. So if I go into entrees, I might even divide it into chicken, meat, vegetables. So if you are this kind of person, you get really organized with that area. If you're not, you might not even have a folder called recipes. So this is what I'm asking you to do. Okay, but I'm asking you to do it here. So say that I am going to create my travel folder. Then over here, I would create a new folder and say, you know, packing lists, right? And then I might create a new one called research, right? Or another one called house sitters, so that I know who I've used before. And then I'll grab them and I'll drop them into travel. It's just easier to organize when I open it up and I go to my desktop, there it is. I have created my house sitters, packing lists, and research. Once this structure is complete, and this is the part that or as complete as you can think, right, that it might be, you can look at this and go, okay, this is my main structure. If this encompasses just about everything that I'm going to have, I'm going to say personal, right? Maybe there's another for very personal stuff. It's very generic, but I might put some stuff under personal. I'm always going to make a folder called miscellaneous, like that I just didn't, don't know where this goes. Miscellaneous, there it goes. So that now this structure that I created that is on my desktop, which is why I'm seeing it here and here, it's on my desktop. This is the goal. I will now select all of these from A to Z, and I'm going to put it in my documents folder. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm happy with this, and I'm going to grab this and put it in my documents folder. And boom, my desktop is empty again. Now, when I go to my documents folder, these are loose. They're all loose, right? All over the place. But what I can do now, one, because they're alphabetically ordered. So class files is there, financial is there, horticulture is there. So one solution right now might be to sort by kind right there. So if I do that, maybe I can have all my folders in the same place, right? And so when I do this, when I sort by kind, it's easier to look at everything I have, and all my folders jump up to the top. I had some other folders here already, right? So now I can start saying, okay, what's this? Let me see. Crop, floor, straighten table. Oh, this is a file I use in Photoshop. All right, so let me open my class files, and I'm going to grab this and I'm going to drop it in my Photoshop class. Okay, what's this? Oh, that's a music file, and I don't have anything here, but it's one that I use for when I edit videos. So I'm like, oh, I didn't put anything there. Maybe temporarily I can put it in miscellaneous, or I can just create a new folder for when I edit videos. Right now, I'm just going to put in miscellaneous because I don't have that folder and I don't want to delete it. Then I'm going to open this one and I'll go, what's that? Oh, that's a class roster. Okay, that goes into classes right there, right? And I start organizing. By the time I'm done doing this, so that's by kind, it's easy because now all of these are JPEGs. All of these are JPEGs because they got selected by kind. I can select every single JPEG from there to there, all of them at once, and put them here under loose pictures, right? So I doesn't matter where, as long as you have something selected, you grab one and you take them over here and you drop them in there. I forgot to say that I haven't checked them all. You might first want to check first if you want it or not, but you don't have to. You can also just decide that you want them all and select them and check them once in there. You can go in smaller groups. You know that this group is good. So you put the loose pictures there and then you check the rest. I would like to first, I personally would select all my JPEGs, every single one. Select the top one, hold down the shift key, select the bottom one, and then I can drag this up here and drop them under loose pictures. Later, if I want to organize loose pictures, they're all in here and I can start deciding if I want them or not. But this is a good folder now to bring into the Photos app once I got rid of what I don't want. Okay. And so for those of you who are comfy doing it this way, that's good. But there's an easier way. It's not always easy to grab this and target it correctly, right? So this data generator contacts is a class file. If I drop it in there, it might be hard to do. So I wanted to show you a slightly easier way to organize things. And that's if that's working for you, go for it. I do it this way, but for some people it's complicated. So I go to column view. So the difference with column view, this is exactly the same. It's what I was seeing. It's not as good for organizing because it doesn't tell me off the top what kind of file it is, but here's what's nice about it. If I click on class files now, instead of it opening with like that little arrow and dropping down, I see in here the stuff that's in here. So this is all inside of class files. This column is what's inside of there. And then I see, ooh, Mac class, and I click on Mac class or Photoshop class, I had put a file, and then I see there that my crop and straighten is inside of my Photoshop class. So this is inside of this, and this is inside of this, right? So if people like this method better, and then the last choice is like a little demo of it. And if I look here at the path, it's telling me that the crop and straighten flower is inside of my Photoshop class, which is inside of class files, which is inside of documents. And I just created that myself, made that structure. Now, the only thing another thing that's easier here is that if in class files, now I want to create one for, say, Excel files, that's an Excel file, or for class rosters, I can just come in here and right click right there and create a new folder and call this one Excel class, right? And so then this one goes in here. This one is a roster, so I'm going to call it sample rosters. Then I'm going to grab that and put it in there, right? So basically, I'm sub-organizing, and then say that this ejected is not ejected properly. This is something that I just used to teach you guys something in class today. So I can grab it from here and put it in class files. I go into class files. Oh, that's really a Mac class file, and I put it in there. So by the time I'm done, things can be really organized. At this point, though, if you just put anything financial into the main financial app, that's good. So if it looks like it's loose and it's like, oh, student flowers, this is a student file, class files, right? Just drop them into class files. So anyway, I prefer doing it this way. If you prefer doing it that way, I'm going to let you guys work. I have more hands up, so I'm going to start answering questions, but do this, practice this so that you can, play with it. Now, I showed you really quickly how to move them from the desktop into documents. So I'm going to undo that again. I had these that I created. I had created, I don't know, these, and I had created them here on the desktop, right? That's where I started. And this is where they were in the desktop. And I'm telling you first to organize them here because we accomplished having nothing. Those of you who left stuff in the desktop, this might be not a good place. But if you created your structure here, then select them all. You can select them all from here or from here. These are the empty ones. Click shift, and all you need to do is put them in your documents folder, just like that, drag. Now this process, which I'm making it look so easy, is not that easy, this little drop in, okay? So this is the part that I want to practice with you and hone and make sure that you guys get it well. I'm going to stop my share and start answering questions. Meanwhile, you guys keep doing that which I just did. All right, Carol.
My question is, what is the smart file? Setting up a smart file.
It's a little bit harder to explain. A smart folder, so not smart file, but smart folder is it's a little bit like Recents that I haven't explained yet. So I was going to explain Recents in a minute.
Okay.
When I do that, let me explain that when I explain Recents, because it might be a little bit complicated otherwise. And it's got to do with things being automatically sorted for you. But yeah, let me just first get some more questions about what I want people to do now that is or isn't working. And then hold on to your question. Keep your hand raised if you want to remind me, because first I want to make sure people get what I just taught, and then I'll go into something new. Yes, Sarah.
Yes. Basically, I've got your idea of all this stuff, and I've created the super folders and then the subfolders, and I'm just putting everything at this point into the various things, and then I'll organize it later with the photos and everything else, because otherwise I will be so confused.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's the best thing. I'd like to, I think that's the best way to go. Like, imagine I'm cleaning my room, my closet. I don't want to go piece by piece. Maybe what I would do first is make sure that like my shirts are all together, my shoes are together, my jackets are together. Then I can see, whoa, do I really need 10 jackets? Had I looked at them one by one, I might have gone, oh, this one's cool, this one's cool, this one's cool. And I keep all 10. But when I see I have 10, I'm like, come on, I live in Santa Barbara. Maybe I can just pare some down, right? So it's easy to just put things by stuff, right? All genealogy files, one place, no matter what. All class files, one place, no matter what. All photos, one place, no matter what. Then when you have that, then it's much easier to open up just your genealogy files and start saying, okay, now I can make some subfolders. This one is this family. This one is that family. This is research. This is, you know, and then create your substructure, which, you know, you can do it one way or the other. Totally your choice, but whatever works for your brain. We all have a different way of, our brain organizes differently. How we think is different. So for one way might work really well for you and another way might work really well for others. My husband's a tremendous neat freak. I am not. And trust me, the way we think about walking into a place and organizing is exactly the opposite. What makes sense to me, he would start the exact opposite way than what I do it. So, you know, whatever works for you. The structure has to be created, but for some of you guys, the structure might take different names. It might be like by dates or by something. I don't know. So yeah, sub-organizing after you've created the super folders, that's a great idea. Mimi, your hand was up before. Now it's down. Is your question been answered or? Okay. So guys, how's it going? Are you all creating your super folders? Did you all give me a yes if you all created some super folders and transferred them already to your documents? So you created them in the desktop and you have transferred them to your documents. If you did that, give me a yes. If you didn't do that, tell me. If you didn't do it because you don't want to do that, hey, that's your prerogative. You're in class, you don't have to do it. But if you didn't do it because you're having a problem, like it didn't work for me, or I need some more help with this, or I need some more help with that, that's then say no, and I'll help you. Okay. So I don't see an answer yet from Richard. I just saw him step out for a second, so I'll ask him when he comes back. Yolanda, Barbara, I'm seeing yeses for everyone. So you're working on creating your big super structures. Okay. Julie, have you found big folders that might help you reduce the amount for your structure? Yeah. Okay, great.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. I've gotten mostly yeses. And so I'm going to change
I even deleted things that I thought, why do I have that? So this is very good. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Exactly. Like I just said, you know, sometimes I'll look at one thing I have to say, I like shoes. I hoard shoes. And it takes me to one day decide, let me put all the shoes in one pile, which I did, I don't know, like 2 weeks ago. I grabbed shoes from every place and I looked at them and discovered there's shoes I haven't worn for like 5 or 6 years. Certainly before the pandemic, my life has changed
They
so much.
last longer that way.
Yeah, they last longer. And then I have one pair that I've used to death because it's the one I use all the time. And then I have 3 more that could do the same job, right? But if they're not comfy, I have a bag this big, like a trash bag full of shoes that I'm giving away. I'm just cleaning it out. I'm like, okay, I'm done having these fancy boots that I only wear when I go to Argentina. You know what? I'm not going to keep it here anymore. Because people dress better there. Here, everyone's so casual that it just don't need it here. Anyway, boom, I'm getting rid of it and that kind of thing. So that's the kind of thing you guys can find in your files. Why am I carrying this? Why in the world do I have this? Do I need this? I learned this in Mac class when I was very new. I did the screenshot. Now you look at the screenshot. I was like, I know this already. I don't need this screenshot for the Mac class anymore. Comfy, boom, get rid of it, right? If it's something you already know. But if it's something you might want to be reminded later, well, keep it. All right. If there's no other specific questions, then I'm going to proceed to explain the recents folders and Carol's smart folder, but I just want to first make sure that you guys are working hard at organizing. Any questions about organizing? I'm seeing some slightly puzzled faces. I'm seeing some maybe confronted faces. Richard, you just came back and I was just asking people, have they all said yes, and I just cleared out the answers, but have you managed to make a bit of a superstructure and put your stuff in, like drag the empty folders into documents? Again, you said your computer was pretty new, but you do have files from the past, right? It's not like an empty, some of you guys have a very empty computer, but I think you did have. You are muted.
Yes, it's still new. I really don't have that much in it.
Okay, that's
Um,
fine then. Then,
But I am looking at it, and I
but
mean, the
did you
stuff
have
that
stuff in another computer, or this is completely new? You're not transferring things from anywhere?
no, there was stuff that was transferred over,
Okay, all right.
and so now that I know how to get in there and
Create that. Okay.
delete them.
Yeah, especially sometimes people have, oh, one thing I forgot to share before I go into the new, and thank you, Carol, I see what you said. Yeah, I always donate my stuff. Let me share my screen one more time. I forgot to say that amongst all of this, and I showed it at the beginning of class, but I want to be clear. Once you get rid of stuff and you think you don't need it anymore, chicken stock, or raw file, stuff that you don't need anymore, I'm going to choose something I don't need anymore. Then I've told you to trash it. Well, don't forget that trash, everything is still in there. So I'm going to close this to make it a bit clearer. I think I showed it. I'm going to show it once more. I need to open that trash too. I mean, if I'm pretty sure that what I have in there is good because I didn't make a mistake, then go ahead and empty it completely. But you can go into there and see if there's stuff that's from a long time ago. And this is a Finder window, but you can't open it from here. There's nothing here that says trash, right? So you need to click on this icon and it's another Finder window. It opens up. So I have two Finder windows, and you can have as many Finder windows as you want. This gets complicated. This is what's into the trash. The difference with this Finder window is that if I confirm that I don't need any of this, then I can empty it from there. I can click on this empty right from there. But if you don't want to go in and check because you're pretty sure that what's there is there and it's good, you can go up to the word Finder and just empty your trash from here. Okay, so you can just do that. And I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to go ahead and say empty trash from here. Boom. Are you sure you want to erase the items in the trash? You cannot undo this action. Someone else, I had Julie do it before. Yep, empty trash. And now my little trash looks empty. There's no little crumpled paper into it. I open it, it's empty. I've gotten rid of that. That's truly, truly gone. So don't forget that after you do all your organizing, you need to truly, truly empty your trash for this to be completely done. All right. Now, oh, I do see a raised hand. I was going to start. Yes, Mimi.
Oh, I think I have a folder inside a like empty folder, then another folder, then I have something in it. Like, oh, how do I shorten that trail?
Okay, I see what you mean. So basically, what you're asking, let me put an example. Maybe recipes. I can do this example. Maybe I can do it in the sample files that I already have here created, ready to go. I think I have some sample folders in here, or just is this just structure? Hold on. Yeah, I have some this sample here in this sample. I already created the structure where under recipes, I have it divided into appetizers, desserts, entrees, and then I have, chicken, meat, vegetables. I don't have much in here. It's just sample folders. But say that you decide, you know what, I don't have enough. I'm totally into entrees. That's fine. But I'm not much of a baker. I don't want to do desserts all the time. So I don't need so much organization, right? And this is basically what you're asking. You have something inside of something, and it's just a bit too much. Like, why do I do that? Well, and it's a little bit like what I did. I think I already demoed that a bit with Julie, which is put it in the main folder, right? So if I don't need the desserts divided into cakes and cookies and sugar-free cookies. I don't need that. But if I delete this folder right now, I'm going to get rid of what's in it. So I can't just say, I don't need that, cakes move to trash, because if I do that, all the files that were in cakes also move to the trash. You see that? So that's not what I wanted to do. So I'm going to just kind of put back, so they go back to where they were. So that wasn't my goal. I just wanted to kind of get rid of that superstructure and just put the recipes and desserts. Okay, so then what I need to do is I need to select that stuff that's inside of something, select that and drag it out to that main folder just called desserts. So in this case, I'll put it under here in desserts. Now my cakes is empty. There's nothing in there. And now I can right click and move the cakes to trash, but I still have my carrot cake, my cheesecake. I don't want cookies separated. I'll select these two. I'll put it under desserts, right? And now I can get rid of my cookies. There we go. Now I have, oh, and I still have a folder for ice cream. I don't need that. And boom, now I have consolidated all my dessert recipes into the desserts folder and eliminated the in-between folders, right? So you just kind of, now, if I don't even want that, if I want all my recipes are a total of 10, why do I have so much subdivision? I just bring them into the main recipes folder. Like it's like, instead of putting them in, I'm taking them out. I'm kind of moving them out. One thing that's important is this hierarchy. So you can see that the first folder is, you know, that's my main folder, classes to download. Then hierarchy is the next one. This is the next one. This is the next one. This is the next one. Like you can keep going inside and have things everywhere. So I can have this one here in the 6th level, right? So look at the path. This file, I just put it in the final level, right? So this file is in the 6th level, which is in the 5th level, which is in the 4th level. See how it keeps, which is in the 3rd level, which is in the 2nd level, which is in hierarchy, which is in class files to download, which is in downloads, right? So that's a really long path. Is that unnecessary? No, you might have something that needs to be this organized, but you might not need so many. And you can look at these and go, you know, let's simplify. I think all of this can be at a different level. So an example like this would be, what if you're classifying your, I have a job, right, for someone. So say that this is my client name. Inside of my client name, I have a book that I'm creating for them, a book design. I put the book design in here. So this is the book design for this client. And this is all my clients, all my jobs, right? So this book design has another folder that has the images. And then those images for that book are going to be divided in the images that are the main images and the images that are just the little like the little, what I call thumbnail images. So by the time I'm done, it makes sense that my thumbnails are at this level, right? That's my photos. This is my images. This is my book. This is my client. This is my whatever. So it just having things really well stored isn't necessarily bad. But if it's got levels and levels and levels that are unnecessary, then you just move them up and you go, okay, it's good enough to have this one right there at client level. I don't need the rest. Does that make sense? Move them up or down the list that way. Just
Just
kind of
clarify, if you delete like the 3rd level, if you just like go, I don't want that,
yeah.
then
If
you-
I delete the 3rd level, I'm deleting everything that's there, including everything that's in the 4th, 5th, 6th, and final. So yeah, deleting folders is really dangerous. You need to first make sure there's nothing in it. If you're not sure if there's anything in it, another way to make sure, if this structure is a bit complicated, just double click it for a second. When you double click it, you have just that folder here, 3rd level, and you go, ooh, whoops, there's stuff in there. But it might be that you thought, oh, only that is in there. You open it up and you go, ooh, there's something still in there. Yeah, if I get rid of this 3rd level, I'm going to get rid of everything else. So you go, oh, no, yeah, I don't want to. What do? Is you first move out what's there. You move that to the 2nd level, right? Then when you look at 2nd level, that's there, but when you look at third level, there's nothing there, there's nothing there, there's nothing. Okay, I can get rid of third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. There's nothing in there, right? So now I can get rid of those. So you just kind of backtrack. That's all. Yeah. And then this one, I'm just throw it back into miscellaneous, so I have nothing in there. I hope that made a bit of sense. And I forgot that I was showing this in my big window. I should have been sharing just this one file to make it a bit clearer. Sorry, I was showing you the trash. So one more example, and then I'm done with examples. Say that I have family files, and this doesn't have so many levels, but I'll open it up, and maybe I have a computer where 3 of us share our files. And then when I open Dad's, he has the health information and taxes. Maybe he works here. When you open taxes, oh, there's a folder for each year's taxes. Maybe inside of taxes, you have expenses and invoice and receipts. So this would be first level, second level, third level, fourth level, fifth level, sixth levels. And now that you see the names, it makes sense. Because if I want to go back to, 2021, I can just look at the expenses for 2021 or the invoices for the receipts for 2021. So deep organization might make sense for some things, but for others, nah, just throw all the recipes in there and it's good enough. But if I were to get rid of this folder taxes, I would get rid of everything that's in it. If I get rid of this folder taxes 2019, I would get rid of all the expenses, invoices, and recipes. See that? So if I don't want this substructure, I just want a folder called taxes with everything in it. I would have to take what's in here out, put it in there, take what's in here out, put it in there, take what's in here out. Then I can get rid of the boxes, the folders. Okay. So yeah, be careful because yeah, I mean, just imagine if you have a box full of Christmas supplies at home and you get rid of the entire box, or if you open it up and then you have a little box that holds all your glass ornaments, you get rid of that, the glass ornaments go away and you have to open it up, save the glass ornaments, get rid of the container, right? So the folders are just containers, okay? So yeah, all right, folders are just containers. That's really important. They don't have any value intrinsic. The value is in the file. The value is in that, quarterly sales results, but it'll go into financial, right? And this will this is chicken stock. It will go into recipe. So I'm going to select it first, and then I will take it up to recipe. I really don't like working with the touchpad, and it goes into recipes. Mac OS versions, that goes into Mac classes. And so I'll scroll up until I get to my Mac. Did I put a Mac class folder in here yet? Oh, there it is, my class files. So see, this is a Mac class, but I don't want to yet organize it. I just, for now, the big choice, I'll throw it into class files. Later, when I'm gotten rid of all this junk, then I'll open class files and I'll go, oh, this can go into the Mac class. And this one can go into the Photoshop class, right? So then I have things well organized, but at first, just throw them into the main folders, right? Okay. Stopping my share. Mimi, I already answered your question. Any other hands up? I thought I had seen some more hands up. Yes, Julie?
I created another folder to put under genealogy, and now I don't know where it is.
What was it called?
Jewish genealogy.
Go to the J. Now it's possible that you dropped it in the wrong place, right? Because let me share my screen again and I can help you now find it, but it's possible, and I'm going to share this, that when I went to grab this thing that should have been, let me see, this should have been a class file, that when I dropped it, I might have just, boom, dropped it by mistake. I thought I dropped it in class files, but I actually let it go. And when I go over here, I'm like, oh, where is it? It's not here. If I want to, I can just kind of open up the next one and go, oh, yeah, there it was. Because I might have dropped, but I might have dropped it on the way in here and it's hard to tell. So the first thing you do when you've tried to move it and you can't find it, so had you tried to move it or had you created it?
No, I created a new file, a new folder, and tried to move it up.
Okay, yeah. So it's in the try to move it up that the problem happened, right?
Yeah.
So watch. I tried to move it up and I dropped it in the wrong place. The easiest thing to undo your last action. So the moment it's not there, you can see that it's not where it should be. It should have been in class files and it's not there. Like she's looking in genealogy and is not finding it. Then undo. And again, for shortcuts for undo, I undo all the time. The shortcut, especially when I teach things, I undo all the time. The shortcut is command, hold down the command key and then tap the Z. So I'm going to hold down the command key and I'm going to tap the Z. And there it is. I undid that. So who knows where it was? It doesn't matter. Now I have it again, and now I can resend it to the right place, right? So that's the best thing to do.
Well,
Command Z.
I just did that and I don't see it.
Okay, but since you've been doing a lot of stuff in between, and this is the important thing, I had just done this. I had done this just now, right?
Oh,
So
I
when I
see it.
did this, it's in many, I have to command Z one time, undoes the last thing I did.
Yeah.
2 times undoes the next last, and so on. And so if I tap 5 times, it'll undo the different things until finally you get to the place. And you had been doing other stuff, looking for it.
Yeah.
So you had to do 5 undos maybe to find it. Now
Yeah, I
put it in
found
the
it
right place.
now alphabetically in my main folder. So
Great.
to
Now you
move
can
it up
pick
then,
it up.
can I just go under my genealogy
Yeah.
main folder?
Yeah, just grab it from wherever it is in alphabetical order, and then
Yeah.
just drag it up to your general genealogy. And then when you open your genealogy, maybe it has another internal place, or maybe it's just a main thing under genealogy.
Oh,
And
I
if
see,
want to
yes.
undo the thing I just did, I'll just do command and tap Z, and that goes back to its place. See, now for people who don't like shortcuts, always up here you have edit, undo. So if I say that I move this into travel, and then I move this into travel, I'm just doing, and then I move this into recipes. I've moved 3 things in there and I go, oh God, that's not what they have to do. I can either command and tap Z 3 times. I can go up here, undo move of this, and it undoes it. And then I do undo move of the next one and it'll undo it. You see how they're appearing again? And then undo move of that and it'll undo it. So it just undid 3 things that I had done.
Okay,
Right?
perfect, thank you.
And that's the best way to find it. And if that doesn't work, because what you did this 10 days ago, then hopefully you remember the name started with the word J for Jewish, then you actually go do a search. You click on here and you do a search for the word that starts with Jewish. And I have jewels, which that's why I don't have Jewish, but I have jewels, and I knew I'd have one. So then I type the name and hopefully it'll come up and I'll go, oh, there it is. And where is it? Oh, let me see. It's inside of gems and jewels, is inside of gradients, inside of swatches, inside of NUS, inside of presets, inside of Illustrator, inside of applications. Oh, that's where it was, right? So again, this is a long path, but at least I know exactly how to get to it, right? And I can then put it back in the right place. I can grab it and move it to exactly the right place this way or another thing. But to do this a good search, you need to remember the name. And sometimes people don't remember the names they gave to their files. So that's a good way to do it. Cool. Carol,
Thank
your hand
you.
is up. You're welcome.
Just a quick question about the cloud. I noticed that some of the folders are automatically in the cloud and some are not. What moves it over to the cloud?
So in this case, the ones that I just created, I created here in my computer. But I had some that I had in the cloud, I believe, before. So like recipes, because I don't know if this is my new recipes or not. If I just brought it in, this is one I just created. So ideally, and granted that my cloud storage is almost full, but these are very small files. The folders themselves don't hold stuff. When I create them in this computer, because this is where I'm working, then this needs to send itself to the cloud. And then from the cloud, it can send itself to other places. So you can choose to leave it in the cloud. And so now it's kind of moved up to the cloud, or I can leave it here. If I want it to be here, I can just click on this again and it'll download
You're
and
not
it'll be in
sharing.
my computer. Oh, I'm sorry. So anyway, all I'm doing is clicking on the little cloud. Sorry, this whole time I've been talking, if not sharing. Next time, interrupt me sooner. when people are sharing and I change the share, then sometimes I forget to start again. So basically, if you want it in one place or not, I don't, you know, I went over this earlier, so with more detail and in an earlier videos. I'm not sure which, though, you'd have to find it. But yeah, if you want it in your computer, you can just click on this and download it, and that downloads it. That's it. Now it's in your computer. All you needed to do was just click on that. Click on that little icon. Now, boom, they're all in the computer. Now this one has pictures, so see how it's taking much longer to download? Boom, now they're in my computer. But now if I regret that, I didn't want all these in there, I can just right click and remove the download, which is not moved to trash. It's remove the download, so they go back up into the cloud. Okay. So that's a choice that you have. If you go, oh, I didn't mean to have these here. So then all of these, you don't want them down here anymore. Right click and then remove downloads, and they'll all head up back into the cloud. It'll take a little bit of time, but there they go. They're in the cloud.
Thank you.
Okay. But you can still keep organizing them. It's not like you can't organize them. If this index HTML, what is it about? It looks like it's nothing, and it is nothing. So I'm going to right click, move to trash, right? So I keep organizing. WIPIA, that's a class file, so that's going to go in there. So I keep talking, and now and then I organize, but I want you guys to have done this better than me. I want you guys to have actually finished organizing by the time we're done. Now you have thousands of files. It might take a little bit more than a little bit of time, but I have a lot of files that are class files, so I can go over here. The good thing about selecting by kind is that I have a bunch of PDF documents that I send you guys, how to non-credit, access cloud, that kind of stuff. And I know that that's all class files. I can just drag them all at the same time and put them up there. My masks, I know I have 2. I don't need both. I'll get rid of one, move it to trash. And then this one, yeah, I don't have other sewing patterns. I'm going to put this one under miscellaneous, so it's not Lucid, et cetera, et cetera. So I keep going, right? And I keep organizing. Now, a good one to have is screenshots. If you're someone who procrastinates, don't leave screenshot, you know, you're going to not organize them right now. So you might want to make a folder for all your screenshots and then slowly start checking what they are. So let me show you one last way to create folders that I haven't shown you yet. And then we're basically at the end of the class today. And your job, by the way, for those of you who are leaving, is to have this nicely organized by next week. Next Thursday. And next Thursday, I'm going to show you, okay, then how do you bring out some things that you truly need back into the desktop? I'm going to show you that. But right now, I'm going to say, grab any screenshot from the top, and then I'm going to go to the last thing called screenshots. So now I have all of these things are called screenshots. Now I'm going to make a folder of just, and I'm going to have to share the entire screen so that you guys can see my entire document, what I'm doing. So now I'm going to make a folder of all of these at once. I'm going to go up to file, and instead of new folder, I can make a new folder with the selection of all 29 of these items. So if you find a ton of JPEGs, you can select all the JPEGs. In this case, these are all screenshots. I'm going to make a new folder with those 29 items. They get thrown in there, new folder with items. And now I'm going to call this one screenshots to organize, for example. Boom. Now look at how quickly I'm almost done with all these files that I had in here. I'm getting almost to the end, right? So I'm going to keep putting these in class and such and so forth. Now, does that mean that it's organized? Totally no. Later, I'm going to, oh, this is a class file, so I'll drop it in there. News articles, maybe these are articles that are, you know, maybe I have my son's articles from winning an award. Well, they'll go into personal, stuff like that. But the screenshots to organize is sitting there, and I'll need to open it and start to look at them and go, oh, that's a class file. Okay, that goes in there. But I do your best to not leave it with that name. Do your best, as I said, when you know what it is and you go, oh, this is then select it, change its name to whatever it is, and then put it in there. That way, when you go here into class files, you don't have a lot of empty screenshots again that you still need to reorganize, right? So take some time and sit here and rename these, get rid of them, the ones that you don't want, and then you can be done, and you can truly consider that you are completely organized. So these I already named.
screenshot of iCloud photos, screenshot of Max storage, screenshot of Pipeline Cloud. So now it's easy for me to just go ahead and take these from here. And and this is the part that gets a little bit harder when they're far, right? You can make your window bigger, or you can grab this selection right there, and let me select it again. And you can just drag it up. Good old. I hate, sorry, I don't know. I truly hate the way things work on the pad without it. And then I can just put my mouse up there and drag them. See, without a mouse, this is so much harder to do. Oh, because I'm trying to move it up and let this scroll, which I can't. So here I can let it scroll. With a mouse, I could just keep scrolling and bring it down. With the touchpad, it's much harder. And even I, who am really accustomed to this stuff, I'm having a hard time. But I'm going to bring it up. And then if I touch this area over there, I can keep scrolling with then in my hand until I make it all the way to class files. And then I let go when I'm in class files. Okay. So it's kind of like a trick when you have stuff that's really, really low down there to move them up. All right. So that's also a class file, but this is actually something from May 2020. Do I need this one anymore? No, I don't need that one anymore. Right click, move to trash, etc. Okay. I ended up not explaining smart folders and recents because there were some very valid other questions about the basic organizing of stuff. So I will explain that next week and next Thursday. And Carol, I charge you with asking me, write it down, that question again, because I do want to get to that. And now that you understand organization, next class, I can also explain recents. Before, when you guys asked me, I kept saying, wait, I'm not ready to explain it yet. Now we've done a lot of structural work. At least some of you have done it. And if not, you've been listening to it and attempting it. Now, on Thursday, recents will make sense to you. Okay. And thus, the smart folders that Carol is asking about will make sense to you because recents it's a smart folder. All right. If you need to go. Class has been over for 3 minutes. Oh no, it's 10:12. Does this one finish at 12:15 or 10:12? Maybe it's not over. I'm just rushing
I
through.
think 12:15.
12:15.
Okay, I explained, right? Every morning that I teach, every one of my classes finishes either at 11:55, 12:10, or 12:15, and I'm always guessing which class is which. It's like crazy. And then my afternoon classes also fluctuate, but
Well,
in
my
particular,
brain
the
only-
mornings, the morning ones are confusing because it's like, I'm around 12. I went over or under. Okay. So if you need to leave though, leave. I'm going to now just answer questions. I won't be teaching new things. So yeah, but there's a question that Yolanda here. So let me say first, because it's been there and I haven't answered it for a while. I don't know if appropriate to ask refolders. If I got an email from someone thanking, acknowledging donation, how do I bring that mail to the folder under tax donations? Oh, I get that. That's a really good question, but I don't think I can show this right now. I said I wouldn't teach anything completely new and it's 12:14. So Yolanda, can you write down this exact question? Like ask me again, how to turn an email and bring something that's an email into a folder, okay? Because this might be a question that a lot of people have. So everyone else who thinks this is a good question, write it down because I do want to explain that. And I just don't, it's not right to explain it now because it's the end of class, right? So yeah, please write it down. Yolanda or anyone else who thinks this is a good question and you want to know about it, please write it down. It can be anything that you receive in your email. How do you save that as a file? Okay. All right.
As a file itself or make a file for it?
Well, that's what I'm going to talk about. If it's already an attachment, that's easy. But if it's just an email, and not a file, how do you turn that into a file to save, right? If you don't want to leave it, because you can leave it as an email, but then when it's time to do taxes, it's not there under your finances folder, so you
I
need to
copy
put
and
it down.
paste it.
You could, well, how do you paste into a folder? You can't paste into a folder. If it's an next
Okay.
next class, okay? But yeah, come up with tell me that next class and I'll explain it better. All right, Sarah,
Save and email.
Your
That
sound
would
is
be
off.
on your computer and not in your web, in your email, right?
yeah. How
Okay.
do you structure, organize it this way?
Save and email.
All right, so Sarah, you were muted when you started to talk, so can you unmute yourself?
Email. A file.
You're still muted, so I know your mouth is moving and you might think I hear you, but I can't hear you.
Oh, man, my brain's swollen.
I see your mouth moving, but you're,
Yeah,
oh,
okay,
there you are. Okay, yes, now I
Okay.
can hear you.
okay. All right, so what I have here is under documents, okay? All this stuff. And I'm trying to, put them into subfolders. And there's some that are, come up with Adobe. I have an RQ, whatever the hell it is. And I have all these Adobe stuff, but I don't know what the RRQ is. And every time I click it on, I get the friggin' Adobe. And I don't want that. I just want to get that information so I can put it in the proper folder.
Well, if the name starts with Adobe, it's probably an application file that you don't need to be touching. Let me see. When you install certain applications, here I installed Photoshop in this computer. So Adobe created this folder for me here in my documents. I didn't create it. And when I open it up, it has Photoshop Cloud Associates. It has stuff that I didn't create. Adobe might need this to work. So if you have them loose over here, it just doesn't make sense. Somehow something happened, because you shouldn't have like application folders. Let me go into applications and show you that when I go into Adobe create Photoshop, for example, there's a lot of folders in here that are created that I don't have access, or, I wouldn't even know what they are, that my computer needs. So if it's any of these kind of things, they shouldn't be there. Now, if you've named them Adobe for some reason, then they're just a file that's called Adobe. But when you said there's an RQ, that I'm assuming you mean the extension RQ?
No, it's just that. It just says RQ. It doesn't say Adobe. I understand the.
How do you know it's an Adobe file then?
When I opened it up, it went to Adobe.
Well-
All the other Adobe files that I have the signal, the image of Adobe, and then I would put them in the folder of Adobe. But this one, it's Adobe, but it's
What's
not.
it called? What's the extension? It's called,
Okay, hold on. I have to.
what's the dot? What are the two or three things after the dot?
Yeah, I'm slow at this, so
It's okay.
you know that. Okay, hold on. Okay, what it has is, it doesn't have any dot on it. And it just says R, big R, little r, and then Q. And it was created on July 9th, and it's not in the cloud.
Well,
And
if it's a file you don't know, and it does show you the Adobe thing, I would just drag it and drop it into the Adobe folder and the applications and forget about it, because you don't know if it's useful or not. You shouldn't have Adobe files here in documents. So somehow that's wrong, but I don't know if you need it anymore or not. So just drop it into the applications folder and do that.
That's what I'm doing. What right now I'm doing is I'm just putting everything in the documents, just because
Yeah.
I'm so screwed up on stuff and my ADHD, and then I'm going to go and reorganize stuff. So
That's
I
great.
just think at this point I should just put the bloody stuff into Adobe file, and then I'll get around to organizing it even better later.
Yeah, that's great. Do that. And then when you are, put that into Adobe. But if it's a file that's an Adobe application file, you wouldn't want to organize it anyway. Like it's better to not have that be something that you organize anyway. By the way, meanwhile, I'm still organizing because I want this by next Thursday when we talk. I want this to be organized. So so what I need us to do is to I'm going to put it
Well,
in there.
How about if I put it into PDF files?
It's not a PDF, so why would you do that?
I see. Got it.
Yeah, if it says Adobe and it has an Adobe logo, put it in the Adobe and just
Well, I
forget
got
about
that,
it.
but this one is not, this one does not, it is Adobe, but it doesn't have the Adobe signal
Well,
on.
if it says Adobe, if it's Adobe, put it in Adobe. It doesn't matter. Just put it in Adobe and forget about it, because if it's an application file, I'm not going to ask you to delete it. If it were not an Adobe file, I would tell you to delete it, but just keep
I'm
it
just
because you
gonna
don't know
put
where
it
it
in
is.
the Adobe thing and then we'll talk about it
Yeah.
later.
Yeah, and then I understand your hesitation to share your screen during class, but if I can help you and support you through it, then I can actually help you much better, because then I could be looking at this file and I could be telling you what to do. Now you're just having to describe it. I'm kind of
No, no.
guessing, right?
I'm happy to share my file, my screen at some point, but because of my MMM, mental
Mhm.
morass, I have to go slowly, and sometimes it takes a lot of time to remember to share a screen, even though I
Mhm.
have done it. Once I get to
Yeah,
it
I-
automatic, I'll be fine.
I hear you, Sarah, but one thing I want you to know, this class is for everyone, not just for the person who can share quickly. And you've seen many times that I say share screen, and it takes a few minutes for everyone to figure it out, and other people share like instantly. That's okay. We all
Okay.
wait, because I want everyone to get what they can out of the class, no matter how fast or slow they share their screen. I'm not impatient. I will be fine. So just take the time when it's important to share. Now, if you can explain it well and I can answer, that's fine. But if I truly can't answer without seeing it, it takes more time to
Got it.
explain the whole thing back and forth than it would have taken to share the screen. And then I immediately know what to answer, right? Because we're still talking for a long time. That's the time it would have taken to share your screen.
Got it.
Cool. Got
Okay.
it.
Thank you, sweetie.
Thank you. And I'll walk you through it each time. Every time you need to share, I'll walk you through it. Okay?
Will you?
So,
And you won't be pissed off, okay? Or everybody else?
no, I promise I won't be pissed off. And if
Okay.
anyone else is pissed off, then they don't belong in the class, not you, okay? Because this is a class where I am working with everyone's needs and everyone's abilities and interests. So yeah. All right.
Believe me, you
you're
have the
welcome.
patience for all of us oldies, so thank you.
I
You're
know, I
welcome.
so appreciate it, every last one of you.
You're fine. You're welcome. Thank you. Mimi?
So my question is, on the documents, the ones that are marked in the cloud, I understand that. I believe that every document, as long as you've arranged it that way, is already in the cloud. But it means that ones that don't have the cloud have been downloaded to the computer. Is there, I can't remember if you mentioned the reason why we might want to have something downloaded to the computer, or it's just taking up space and we should send
Yeah.
it all to the
Every time you actually want to work with a file, so I'm going to share my screen again. Every time you actually want to work with a file, you can't work with it if it's in the cloud. So say that I want to just quickly view this file. I'll click on it and view it. It'll go, oh, that was the old, okay, great. Now I want to work with this file. I actually want to open it. So I'm going to double click to open it. Let me share my entire screen so you'll see what happens when I double click. I'm going to double click to open it. But when I do that, notice that it's in the cloud right now. When I double click to open it, it happily opens up. This is my mask. When I'm done, it had to download itself to show itself to me, right? But then it stays down here. And if all I wanted to do was view it, and then I go, no, I don't really need to make a mask right now. This is the actual pattern. This is that I'm not going to use it right now, but I don't want to get rid of it. I can choose to say, well, yeah, hopefully I don't need it anymore, but I want to get rid of it. If I don't, it'll stay here. Once I download it, it stays here. I can choose to then right click and say, remove download, and it'll go back up. And that just saves me a little bit of space. So that's a choice I can make. But if I don't make that, slowly and surely, if my files are all used, slowly and surely, I will have none of them in the cloud. And it's up to me to go, oh, yeah, this one I do need to send them back because I haven't been using them for a while. And if you look at time, date modified, you can see that I haven't used some of these since 2017, 2018, 2013. So clearly it's not a file that I kind of need handily. Look at this one, license text. I haven't used this since 2018. How about this one since 2019? Like clearly there's no reason for these two to be here. So I'm going to select them both and I'm going to, but it say that I decide I actually need them. Then I'm going to remove it and send it up to the cloud just to take a little bit less space in my computer. By the way, it's already in the cloud. It's not like it changes the cloud. The file is and lives completely in the cloud. And when I request it, it downloads the entire thing into my computer. Other than that, when it's in the cloud, it's just a preview of the file, which is why when I hit the selection, it just shows me a preview of it. And if I know what it is, it goes, oh, you actually want it? Okay, download it. So, but it's always in the cloud anyway. So when I say send it back to the cloud, really more correctly, it's much more correct to say remove download. It removes the download and gives me again just the thumbnail of it so that I'm aware of it. And so it's there. And then if I want it again, I'll download it by clicking over there. It takes a second. And then I can actually use it. Okay. And this was the file that's the security download. Right. So it's, you can have them on the cloud or not. They live in the cloud. The question is, do you want them downloaded into your computer or not?
Right. Now I know how I can share my screen with you if you want.
Sure. And yeah. So.
Okay. Let's see. Now desktop one. Whiteboard for iPhone, blah, blah, Finder, documents. I guess this is it.
Yeah, and then on the right side, you see again the little blue button with the white word. So once you've selected that Finder, now look to the right. And at the bottom of your screen, I need to see your face look to the right. Look to the right. And at the bottom of that.
Optimize screen sharing for best full screen video.
No. Ignore that. Move your exactly where you're looking, but on the other opposite end, move to the right. When your eyes look to the right of that window, you'll see a little blue button that says share, and your eyes are still looking to the left. So exactly where you're seeing the optimize, just follow that all the way to the right.
Well, I couldn't see anything.
Yeah, there you go. And there it is. All right. So what's the file that you were asking me about?
It was that one that I was telling you about, the R.
Oh, there it is down there. It's the last one that you have, RRQ.
Yep.
Yeah, so go down and can you close that, the other, yeah, there we go. So click on that one, RRQ.
Yeah.
Okay. And yeah, so look over to the right and it's not an Adobe document. Look at keep going to the right and it says July 9th, 2023. Whoops.
Wait a minute, I'm just trying to move everything because I don't know how to do this fast enough.
Don't worry about fast, really
Well,
relax.
I'm trying to get rid of the gallery of all these people, me and everybody else.
Yeah.
Let me see, I gotta go.
No, hold on. Right now, you can go to I'm going to show you how to see things better. Go to where the name is, go to the word name, up right above you. Keep going up and you'll see the word name where you organize things. Keep going up with your mouse. Where's your mouse? Up.
I have a
touchpad. Okay, finger.
yeah.
Go point with your finger to the word. Move your finger. I need to see your arrow. When I say mouse, I need to see your arrow. There it is. Move your finger up now. Keep going up. Keep going up. And there, that word name, right? You just passed it. Okay, now go to the very far right of the word name.
I don't even see the name. I just see you are screen sharing. And then they have a little cloud with a red dot on it.
Yeah.
And then
so what you have is that you've got your us in the front. You know what might be easier if you reshare, but share your entire desktop, because then this won't be so big. So I'm going to stop your share And this time, share again, but don't share just the Finder window, just share the entire desktop. And then it'll be, all that stuff won't be in the way.
Right, okay, but right now I see you and I have down here underneath says share screen.
Because I have just stopped your share. So now hit share screen again. But this time, hit your share screen again. And this time, when you find the window that says desktop one Finder, hit desktop instead of Finder.
Well, okay, I don't have that. I just have Finder. Oh, desktop one, maybe? Would
Yep, that
be-
one. Yep, that one.
Oh, okay.
And now go to the bottom and say share, that little blue button again, bottom right. There we go. Now you can, can you see this better or like,
No, it's got, I mean, I have to make it bigger and I think what I
all
have,
right. So
do-
then let me see if I can do this for you. Do you see a message that says,
yep, I
okay,
did
go
it.
ahead and say, okay. Okay, so don't move anything.
No.
I'm gonna move it now. So now it's me on your computer, okay? So this
Yep,
is,
I got that.
so over, I'm gonna move this over here. Is this enough? Can you see it now?
Yeah.
That's enough?
fine. Yeah.
Okay, good. That's enough. So now I'm going to make this a tiny bit bigger too, so that I can see a little bit more. Okay, and now I'm gonna close some of these so that it's easier to get to the bottom.
Right,
Okay, so
right.
here's the file, RRQ. If I want to see what this is, I was just trying to get you can make this a little bit smaller. See how it's so big? You have a lot of extra space. You can put your mouse in this little guy right there and just make this portion a little bit smaller so that you can see more of this. And
Got it.
what's it telling you? This is a Pages document. A Pages document is something that you created. This is not Adobe. You created this document. And if it's you or someone who sent it to you, I know. So if you hit your space bar right now, it'll give you a little preview of what that is. And it's kind of trying to figure it out. And this is what it is. It's something called List of Surgeries and Procedures. So
Okay, great, so-
now you can right click on that and rename it into something useful or get rid of it if you don't need it anymore. I don't know.
No, I can put it right into health. I already.
Yes, but first change its name because next time you won't know what RRQ is.
Oh, I see.
So
Got
go up to the RRQ, right click. Or yeah, do that and now change its name to List of Surgeries and Procedures.
I'm
which
just
is-
gonna do medical M history.
Okay, there you go, Med History. And then if you have a health folder, which I see right there. So first click away, right, to seal the name.
Now,
Yep,
what do I
click on-
do next?
Now click on something else. It doesn't matter to seal the name or hit the return key. Just
Oh, return.
hit the return key. Good. And now grab that M history and put it inside of your folder called health.
Great,
There
got
you
it. Yay,
right.
yippee. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, cool.
Bye.
I'll stop sharing.
Love
You're
you,
welcome.
dearly. You're the
All right,
best.
guys, you're welcome. Bye, everyone. See you guys on Thursday.
See you Thursday.